right, the New Orleans Saints are ready, and so are the Denver Broncos for this matchup today for you right here on Fox. Interconference battle. The 1-1 New Orleans Saints taking on the 2-0 Denver Broncos. And now welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. I am Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, and Pam Oliver coming right up. Broncos roll right into this game after that big conference win and division win over San Diego last week, and there's a confident quarterback. Meanwhile, the New Orleans Saints are frustrated after blowing a game late in Washington, and I bring in my partner Troy Aikman, and you start talking to guys like Jay Cutler and you get around this Denver team. They're a confident group, and we should see them light up the scoreboard here today.
Well, yeah, and I know that it's early in the season. They are the #1 offense right now in the National Football League. Jay Cutler is playing great, coming off a great game last week where he got his #1 weapon back in Brandon Marshall. He'll be going up against a weakened secondary today. At least they do have some players coming back, but this group's depleted, and I would expect that Jay Cutler will have another good day today.
Be honest with your fans out there when you relay the story about seeing Drew Brees on the field. He's got the long hair now, and you were doing your snooping around before the game. You came away with what feeling from Brees after you talked to him?
Well, interestingly enough, I mean, they're coming to this game off a devastating loss, as you said, and they're without their #1 wide receiver in Marcus Colston again this week, and yet he's very confident. He feels that he has the weapons, that if it does become a scoring duel, that they'll be able to match that with the Denver Broncos.
Well, we continue here prior to the game, and right now it's our first time to give you a look at our Microsoft breakdown of the game. Break it down, Troy.
Well, I think that if you look at the Saints, I mean, they are beat up, and so you would like to try to shorten the game, and the way to do that is to be effective running the football. I don't believe that the Saints do want to get into a scoring duel with Denver. On the other hand, Denver, as I said, they've got the weapons, they've got the hot quarterback right now. It's all about protecting him, and if they do, they could put another 40 points on the board today.
Yeah, they are the high-scoring offense that the league is talking about now, and there's the individual the league is talking about. Broncos and Saints coming up next.
Fox Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
The pride of Eastern Illinois University. Charleston, Illinois. That's where EIU is, and these are two products of that program there. Mike Shanahan, who is an institution here with the Denver Broncos, and Sean Payton, who is rapidly becoming one with the New Orleans Saints. Just signed an extension. He's locked in there through 2012. Saints get it first. Pierre Thomas will take it out of the end zone and not make the 15. Woo. He was smoked. And here is Drew Brees. And Troy, when you talk about Drew Brees and what he's done within this offense in his 2+ years, it is eye-popping, the numbers he's put together. And you start to look at the backs and receivers. He really misses Marcus Colston on the outside.
Yeah, he really does. I mean, you're talking about the team's leading receiver last year, a guy who came on a couple of years ago, has been a big part of their success offensively. But as we said, Drew Brees feels very good about the guys he has on the field with him today.
Play action to start his day. Plenty of time into the sideline for Reggie Bush. Off his hands, incomplete. And we look at the defense, and they want more of a rush toward the passer up front. And if you talk to their defensive coordinator Bob Slowick, he'll tell you the strength of our defense is with our linebackers.
Yeah, and that's really going to be the key for this group. And I know, looking at the first couple of weeks for this team, they have not done a good job overall. They started off well against Oakland in the opener last week, playing against an explosive offense, much like this one here today. They struggled.
DJ Williams wearing that radio helmet in contact with the sideline. 2nd and 10. Brees steps up and hits Lance Moore. He's to the 19+, a gain of 6, a manageable third, about 4 coming up for the Saints. And I started to talk about those numbers, and all you need to know is that Drew Brees has put together back-to-back 4,000-yard+ seasons throwing the football. And on the career list, he is really climbing into the top 10 in a lot of the major categories.
You think back to last season, I mean, that was about as quiet a 4,400-yard season as you'll ever have in the National Football League. And Drew Brees knows that if you're not winning football games, people aren't noticing what you're doing on the field.
3rd down and 4. Brees with time. Nowhere to go except down. Ebenezer Ekubon drags him to the turf.
The Broncos are able to get pressure on Drew Brees. That's going to be key throughout this day. David Patton working on the outside, a comeback, and Brees actually worked that way. Patton was trying to get his attention. Brees just didn't see him, but had he have been able to get the ball to him, that would have been a 1st down. But a great start there defensively by Denver.
The punt by Weatherford with Eddie Royal waiting for it from inside the 35. The exciting rookie is into New Orleans territory. 53-yard punt, but a 21-yard return by Eddie Royal, and that is his longest in the NFL.
Now, special teams the first couple of weeks have not been very good, quite frankly, for Denver. They did a good job on the opening kickoff, getting down there and making coverage. And now you've got Eddie Royal on the ensuing punt, giving his team some great field position.
They'll start at the New Orleans 45. And it was a huge first half last week for Jay Cutler in this Denver offense here at home against San Diego. Put it up early for Marshall off his hands. Brandon Marshall had an all-world day last week, and Jay Cutler was looking for him every time he dropped back. You look at this offensive line, it's very good, and they have a rookie starting at left tackle. When you see the name Brandon Marshall, realize that he had 18 catches last week for a career high 166 yards against the Chargers.
And not playing in week 1. I mean, you get right back on schedule. I know he's anticipating having a big year this year. Last year he had 102 receptions. He got right back on pace with 18 last week.
First carry of the day is Selvin Young, and he picks up 9. When we show the defense week after week, you'll see the green box around a certain player, and that denotes that that player is in contact with the sideline, and that's Jonathan Vilma wearing that radio helmet. And he's been a nice addition from the Jets for this Saints defense.
Yes, he has. And you know, they had the injury to Mark Semino, who had been the starter. They brought in Jonathan Vilma. He's been good. In fact, he leads the National Football League in tackles.
Pittman gets it on 3rd and 1 and picks up the 1st down for Denver. You noticed an offensive philosophical change with this Denver team early, and talked about it with Jay, and talked about it with Jeremy Bates, and certainly Mike Shanahan. This is a different approach than they had certainly last year and even before that with Jake Plummer.
Well, it sure was last week. The way they opened it up, they went to the spread sets, put Cutler in shotgun formation, a little different from what they had shown in week 1 against Oakland. Right now what I'm seeing is more of a game plan like what they ran there in that first game against the Raiders.
On 1st down, pass is complete. The rookie Eddie Royal dragged down to the turf after a gain of 4.
You know, it's Eddie Royal. It's really interesting with him, and it's interesting with a number of young receivers. I've always felt that outside of quarterback, coming in and making an impact as a rookie at the wide receiver position is probably about as difficult as it comes, and yet Eddie Royal has been excellent in the 2 games this year. You think back to Monday night and what Deshaun Jackson was able to do in Philadelphia. Some good young players making an impact around the league.
2nd down and 6, and the handoff to Selvin Young. He gets to the edge and tiptoes for a 1st down. And more. They're calling him out of bounds. He was out of bounds after a gain of 7, but it's a 1st down. He stepped out, kept on running. Roman Harper forced him out.
Take a look here at Ryan Clady. He's the big left tackle, 1st-round pick. And if you're going to be able to get on the edge, of course, he's got to you got to use the face mask if you're going to get on the edge. Look at that. That one didn't get called, but they are able to get out there on the corner with both Ryan Clady and then Daniel Graham as well, and then Eddie Royal. I mean, these are the little things that so often go unnoticed, especially with a young player. Now, he had already stepped out of bounds, but this, not just Eddie Royal, but Brandon Marshall as well. Very good at the wide receiver position, blocking downfield.
And off to Selvin Young, and Selvin gets it to the 20, picks up 3 and a first down carry.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Joe, I'm a little surprised, to be quite honest with you, that they are sticking more to the conventional game plan that we're accustomed to seeing from Denver over the years. I really thought that because of the injuries, even though they got some of those players back with the Saints, that they would open it up and really attack them, but they've been pretty patient here on this first possession.
2nd and 7. Cutler throws high and away for Brandon Marshall. Well, you start looking at these scores going around the NFL up at the top of your screen, and there are some wild games. Buffalo coming back to beat Oakland.
I wonder what that means for Lane Kiffin this week. I mean, is that not a mess?
Well, the seats don't get any hotter
than
the one he's on. Tampa Bay comes back to tie Chicago there. They're in overtime at Giant Stadium with the Bengals and the Giants. And how about the Dolphins dismantling New England? Cutler on 3rd down, steps up, throws, and completes to Stokely. 1st and goal. How did Jay Cutler get that ball into Brandon Stokely?
Great job by Jay Cutler recognizing coverage. The Saints played a 2-deep safety. You're going to see one here. There's another one over here. Therefore, the inside receivers have to win versus the man coverage. Not great separation there by Brandon Stokely, but Jay Cutler puts the ball where it could only be put for his guy to have a chance to make a play.
Randall Gay just whiffed on it, Troy, and that thing squeezed in there somehow.
Yeah, I mean, Randall Gay was in good coverage. He just wasn't able to make a play.
1st and goal, handoff. No signal yet, and they're going to say Michael Pittman was short of breaking the plane and getting into the end zone. 2nd and goal. Pittman already has, by the way, 3 rushing touchdowns on the season. He and Jay Cutler both thought he had number 4 right there, and I think Pittman is trying to get the sideline to challenge it.
Well, he gets to stay in the game, and that's really where he has been used for this offense in short yardage situations, goal line situations. You know, right now on 2nd down is a great time for play action, but I wouldn't be surprised if they come right back to Pittman again.
Lichtensteiger in motion. There is your play action, and there is a touchdown. Nate Jackson. Denver scores first.
And I guess that's why Michael Pittman was upset it didn't get challenged, because he knew that they were going to come back with the play action on 2nd down, and just good execution. You got everybody overloaded. You're able to get the tight end into the back of the end zone. Very difficult on a defense.
It started with a short field thanks to that punt return by Eddie Royal, and the Broncos have not missed a beat from running it up last week in the first half on San Diego. They got a ton of weapons, and Jeremy Bates dialed up number 81. Touchdown Jackson. 7-0 Denver.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees.
The red-hot Jay Cutler now has 7 touchdown throws against only 1 interception this season, and Nate Jackson has his first touchdown catch, and this thing might go through the uprights. How about that kickoff by the rookie Prater? Nate Jackson recommended to Mike Shanahan by the late and certainly great Bill Walsh. He has the first points of the day.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Bud Light Lime, the superior drinkability of Bud Light with a splash of a 100% natural lime flavor.
Denver in 2008, 21 times have had the ball. They've scored 14 times. 11 of those chances have gotten it into the end zone. That's Reggie Bush that Troy circles on 1st down for the Saints. A little rollout and an easy completion to Shockey. And the former Giant has a 1st down as he picks up 12. Jeremy Shockey playing now for the Saints, and his understudy last year with the Giants Kevin Boss actually had a big day, caught an important touchdown today for the Giants, who look like they're about to go ahead and win and beat Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think it was one of those trades, Joe, that was good for both teams. I think it was good for the Giants. I think it's been great for New Orleans. I will tell you, Jeremy Shockey is not really healthy. He's got a groin injury that's given him some problems. He is not running like we're used to seeing him run.
Here's a guy who likes to run, and that's Reggie Bush. He gets it to the 35. You were watching tape and you were looking at the numbers. We're so used to seeing Shockey wear number 80. That's now worn by Mark Campbell, who's not active today with a bad hamstring. Shockey 88 just doesn't look like he's moving around very well at all.
Yeah, and then in talking with Sean Payton about that, he agreed, and not many people know about it because Jeremy Shockey is not a guy who complains. He does not talk about his injuries. He went through a number of injuries while he was with the Giants, wouldn't talk about it, and I think sometimes he gets criticized for performance when he's out there playing, and he's definitely not healthy today.
2nd and 7. And dumped underneath. The catch is made, and that's Shockey. It depends on the mark of the football as to whether it's enough for a first down or not, and they're going to give it to the Saints. So that's a first down catch for Shockey, and here are the inactives today. And this is a team, Troy, that has had this week to week now. They had 6 starters in week 1 that did not play in week 2. And they've got some big names that are not available.
Yeah, and what I like is that you're not going to hear coaches complain. They say, hey, look, we've got guys that are hurt. Other teams do as well. I will tell you that I've never seen a team in the 3rd week of the season miss as many key players as what New Orleans has this season.
On first down, pass is complete. A helmet comes off. Shockey has another catch. And that's Nate Webster, the middle linebacker, who lost his helmet. I don't know why coaches call them hats. It's not a hat. It's a helmet.
Yeah,
you say hat, though. So I've heard you say hat.
Not often, but
you put a hat on a hat and all that stuff. But this is a helmet that comes flying off.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a good job by New Orleans, and the way in which they're working Shockey, as I said, because of the injury, he's not really going to be able to get down the field. I'll tell you what he brings to this team more than anything, Joe. I think he brings some real toughness to him, and maybe something that they've lacked in previous years.
A toss to Reggie Bush, trying the left side, and Bush is a yard short of a first down. They're asking Troy a lot of Reggie Bush. He never really was the featured guy, even at USC. He had Lendale White there. He had Deuce McAllister when he first came to the NFL. McAllister out last year with a bad knee, slow to start this year, and yet he's really the featured back now.
I think this is a pivotal year for Reggie Bush. You know, a lot of people are wanting to see what he's going to be. Now, when they had Deuce McAllister healthy, he was the perfect complement to that. And as you said, he's not going to be a between the tackles runner, and yet it's hard to get out on the edges in the NFL consistently. But he needs to be more of a playmaker than what he's been for much of his career with New Orleans up to this point.
How about that play, Troy? They toss it to him and let him get to the edge, and he picks up 2 and enough for a first down before Engelberger brings him to the ground.
Yeah, because they're a little short-handed right now. I think that the Saints would agree that, yes, you know, we do need to run the football better than what we have. Are we able to do that effectively with Reggie Bush? No, we're not, but Deuce McAllister is not 100%. He's coming off the knee injury, and they're trying to do it the best way they can. Now, I talk about big plays with Reggie Bush. He's provided those in the first couple of weeks. He had some big plays against Tampa. He had some big game, a big punt return last week against Washington, and so they're hoping that that will continue throughout this year.
Bush is at the bottom of your screen, and Brees calls a timeout before the play clock expires. Come back and give you some of the early game headliners. This is week 3 in the NFL. Denver up 7.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Dodge. Introducing the all-new Dodge Journey. If you can dream it, do it. Dodge, grab life. By State Farm. When you're there, State Farm is there. Proud sponsor of the NFL and the best day of the week. And by DirecTV. Now get over 130 of your favorite channels in HD.
It is Invesco Field at Mile High, where they're packing in over 76,000. A stadium that the Broncos have called home since 2001, and there's no better coach coaching at home than Mike Shanahan, who is 80 and 25 in his career here with the Broncos when they play in Denver. First and 10, New Orleans down by 7. And they hand to Reggie Bush, who goes over the left side and picks up 5. And we give you the early game headliners. Eli Manning with an important completion in the overtime to Amani Toomer to set up the game-winning field goal, 289 yards and a touchdown. How about Ronnie Brown? against the Patriots. It also, you can add a touchdown pass to his day in the Dolphins' surprising win. And Michael Turner, as the Atlanta Falcons, last time I looked, were blowing out Kansas City at home.
Yeah, boy, Michael Turner, you know, you think back to what he did in week 1. He has been a great addition to Atlanta, especially with a young quarterback.
Brees throws, completes. Reggie Bush makes a move down inside the 30 to the 28. 14-yard catch and run, and Reggie Bush is no stranger to that. Since he's come into the league, nobody's caught more passes out of the backfield than Reggie Bush.
Well, already what we're seeing from New Orleans is they're getting them in a lot of different formations. That was a stacked formation there with Bush in behind the wide receiver, and they run him out to the flat, try to create some confusion within that defense. And you know, because they don't have Marcus Colston, because Jeremy Shockey is a little bit banged up, because they don't have Terrence Copper, they're trying to utilize Reggie Bush in all the different ways that they can.
Bush, they fake a reverse to him, and they complete it to Pierre Thomas, and what a good play by Boss Bailey. Champ's little brother, and he can really run. Playing strong side linebacker, picked up from Detroit, and this is his second active week for Denver.
Yeah, you know, he came back last week, Joe, and looked a little rusty. You know, wasn't moving quite like he's capable of. And I thought it was interesting in talking to defensive coordinator Bob Slowick. They say that outside of his brother Champ, he's faster than any defensive back that the Broncos have.
10th play of this drive. Sean Payton, the head coach, trying to figure out a way to get this ball into the end zone. Out of the shotgun, Brees in trouble and throws it in the direction of Shockey. No grounding. Marcus Thomas with pressure. It's 3rd and 9.
They bring Marcus Thomas right inside. You see, he splits the center guard gap. Just nobody got on him. And you know, initially it looked like it was going to be some type of screen, but Drew Brees just had no time. He had to unload the ball. That was close to being called intentional grounding. So now play number 11 of this drive for Brees, who's 6 of 8, is a 3rd and 9. They had to hurry to get it off, and Reggie Bush nowhere to go. To the 25, that is it. Met by 4 Broncos, a gain of only 2. Manuel and DJ Williams were in there for Denver, and it's 4th down with Martin Gramatica coming onto the field for the Saints. Yeah, you know, I don't say this very often when it comes to an offense coached by Sean Payton, but I didn't like that call. You know, they try to get Reggie Bush on the outside. A lot of times when he gets out there, that's a screen set that they tend to go with, and to try to pick up 9 yards on that, I think they could have probably dialed something up a little bit better, but it does put them in better field position here for the field goal. 43-yard try, and Gramatica, who actually was out of the league back in 2005, has been perfect since he came to the Saints late last year. 7-3 Denver. New Orleans Saints don't want to fall into a trap or not be able to answer the Denver touchdowns by putting up field goals. That's what's happened, as Denver was impressive on their first drive, set up by a short field, and now they'll get the ball on the kickoff. A pretty long sustained drive by New Orleans nets them only 3. 2 minutes 7 seconds left in the first quarter, and Andre Hall waits for the kick from Gramatica. Even little Martin Gramatica can kick it deep in this rare air, and this one on a line. Good play by Hall to get it on that second bounce, and a good return out across the 35. 28-yard return by Andre Hall. Ortega on the tackle. So now Denver has it, up by 4. Denver will start at their own 35, leading 7-3. Broncos have started the season 2-0. The team most picked to win the AFC West. San Diego with 2 heartbreaking losses, 0-2. They play tomorrow night. Cutler with a mile of open room in front of him finds his tight end Graham.
Let's go down to the field and Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe, medically speaking, the Denver Broncos will take every possible precaution to make sure Jay Cutler's blood sugar levels remain intact. Remember, he was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes back in April. So here's how it works. The team trainer checks him before the game. Then again, he checks him right after he came off if it's first offensive series. The rest of the day, it will be every other series. And then they will just verbally ask him, essentially, how are you feeling? And if anything is slightly askew, Joe, they then go to the insulin pump, which they keep available at all times.
All right, Pam, thank you. Here's a quick throw. That's Stokely out on the edge. He gets to the 40. Let's go for a game break and check in for the first time with Kurt Menefee.
Well, a couple of great overtime games earlier today. Bengals and Giants. And this is Amani Toomer with a 31-yard catch that set up a game winner from 22 yards out by John Carney. 26-23 over Cincy. Then in Chicago, Matt Bryant, 21-yarder as the Bucs come from behind in the fourth quarter and knock off the Bears 27-24. Joe, Troy, and Pam in Denver.
All right, Kurt, thank you. 2nd down and 5 here after the completion to Stokely. And this one is caught by the fullback Hillis. A penalty flag comes in on the play. And Hillis is brought down just short of the 35. It's an offside against New Orleans.
Offside. Defense number 56 in the neutral zone to snap. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 2nd down.
We'll go back to follow up on Pam's report there, Joe, and I thought it was interesting in visiting with Mike Shanahan last year. You know, you're talking about a quarterback because he didn't know what exactly it was he had. He lost 30 pounds, and he lost obviously a lot of energy, but he lost a lot of strength because of that. And Mike Shanahan thought that, you know, he thought it might be the pressure of the position, of the job, of being the #1 guy, and he was very concerned. And once he got diagnosed with diabetes, it was a real relief, not just to Jay Cutler, but to the organization as well, being able to identify what the problem had been.
2nd and short. Cutler's going for it all. End zone. Marshall incomplete. Incomplete. Scheffler and Marshall celebrate, but he was called out of bounds in the back of the end zone. Boy, that was close.
I know in watching Brandon Marshall in pregame warmups, he can pick up a lot of yardage running down the field. He's such a tall guy. He's probably about 6'5". And it looked to me when it happened that he got both feet down, and it sure does here. There's one, and then that left foot lands inbounds as well.
Boy, that looks like a touchdown.
You know, you got to have control of the ball, and it does look like he had control of the ball when his right foot came down, and his left foot was definitely in as well, and that call will be challenged.
Yep. And we think reversed. Cutler's already celebrating. He had receivers open underneath Cutler, but I don't think that's his style, Troy. He went for it all, and he found Brandon Marshall, who was off to an incredible start. We'll get the call when we come back. The two head coaches, Brandon Marshall certainly looks like he has his 2nd touchdown of the season, but we've not gotten the call yet from Ron Winter. We're about to, and here's another look.
Well, an excellent route by Brandon Marshall. Watch the double move right here that makes Case Fajarn, the safety, throttle just enough in order for Marshall to get behind him. The double move is something that a lot of teams run, but I haven't seen anybody run them as much this early in the season as Denver has.
Here comes the call. 35-yard completion for a touchdown.
After review, with the ball in his possession, the receiver got 2 feet inbounds.
So 35 yards, a touchdown, 2nd of the year, and for Brandon Marshall, a guy who even with Troy his 102 catches a year ago didn't make a lot of noise, but he and Jay Cutler are barking now. They're about as good as it gets.
And if you're Gary Gibbs, the defensive coordinator for New Orleans, you're sitting there saying, gosh, I mean, we put 2 guys on him. I mean, it's not like they don't know that Jay Cutler's going to try to go to him with the football. They've got a corner playing outside. They got Case Fajarn over the top, and he still goes by both of them because of the double move.
2 drives for touchdowns for the Denver Broncos, and they lead 14-3, and it's obvious that the Saints defense has its hands full here today. We have a chance to visit with all these players, young and old, across the NFL week to week. And you and I really haven't talked about it since, but sitting down with Jay Cutler and just looking into the guy's eyes, he is just bursting with confidence, not just because of what he did last week. This is a kid who knows he can play.
He knows he can play, and you know what? He's playing within a system right now that he really feels comfortable in. He's got a guy in Jeremy Bates that has been his quarterback coach that is now calling the plays. They spent time together this past offseason looking at New England, looking at New Orleans and Denver and some of these more successful teams. They've implemented a lot of those same things, and he's excited about what they have. He's got great people around him, and when you're a quarterback and you like your system and you like your personnel, it's pretty good.
Why do you start to smile when you say
well,
something?
Because I know that feeling, and it's fun. It makes playing the position fun, and because, as we said, now he's gotten his condition under control with diabetes, and it's a good time right now to be Jay Cutler and to be the quarterback for this Denver team.
And just to follow up on the diabetes diagnosis, he has become an overnight inspiration to so many kids who have been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. I know for a fact from friends of mine that this guy now is proving what can be done with this disease, which is very tough to manage. He's managing it during an NFL game on a hot day in this high altitude, and boy, he does not look like he's missing a beat. Out to the 23 is Pierre Thomas, and we look ahead to a big game next week. The lane window next Sunday will be in Dallas for the Redskins, who beat the Cardinals today, taking on the Cowboys, who are 2-0 and playing Green Bay in Green Bay tonight. Reggie Bush to the edge on the left side, picks up 5. A look at the NFC East standings again. You've got the Giants now 3-0. Dallas plays at Lambeau tonight. They've never won at Lambeau Field. 0-5 when they visited Green Bay. Washington wins, and Philadelphia, they're as good as anybody. They're 1-1.
That's such a great division, and it has been now for a couple of years. And of course, last year, no team with a losing record. 3 teams made the playoffs, and quite frankly, I think that's going to be the case this year. I think 3 teams will come out of that division and make the playoffs.
And time has expired, I believe, in the quarter. We go to the second. 2 possessions for Denver, 2 touchdowns for Mike Shanahan's team. Up 14-3 after 1. We begin the second quarter. Second down for the Saints, down by 11. Need to figure out a defensive answer for the Denver offense, and they need to get the ball down the field into the end zone here. They don't want any part of a shootout. Brees, Pierre Thomas, a yard shy of a first down, and during the break, leading into the start of the second quarter, Sean Payton went to work.
Yeah, he went up to a number of the offensive players and just talked to them about what it is that they needed to do. You saw him visiting with Reggie Bush, and I saw some frustration on Reggie Bush's part on some of the running plays. They've been getting to the outside, and I think that Reggie's trying to explain to him that they're stretching us out so much to the sideline that somehow we've got to be able to cut up underneath all that.
Great start to his tenure with the New Orleans Saints as Reggie Bush is brought down, and the ball pops out. Picked up by Nate Webster. The middle linebacker picking his way to the end zone for a touchdown. You could not have come up with a worse start for the Saints than what they have experienced here today.
It looked like it just came out. I didn't really see anybody get a hand on the ball. You know, maybe John Engelberger, but it was hard to tell that anybody really got a force onto the football to knock it out of Reggie Bush's hand. But Nate Webster right there to pick it up. And what a great job of running with the football after he got the fumble recovery.
Yeah, I think you're right, Troy. It looked like the pad of Engelberger knocked it out, and Webster was there to pick it up and cruise in for the touchdown. Pretty good run back as well. So now Reggie Bush has to get pumped up on the sideline after the fumble and a 34-yard return for the touchdown by Webster.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Windows, by FedEx, your ultimate NFL Aaron Brown player, by Frost Brewed Coors Light. When the mountains turn blue, your beer is as cold as the Rockies. And by Ford. Drive one.
Saints with 5 giveaways this season. Reggie Bush, first of all, he didn't have enough for the first down anyway, and then he lost the ball. Like Engelberger hit his left arm into the football, knocked it out. That's now 20 straight on the negative side for the Saints offensively giving it up, and for the Denver Broncos, they now have 12 straight games with a takeaway. Second longest active streak across the NFL, and it turned immediately into points, 21-3. As Pierre Thomas will keep it in the end zone. They'll start at the 20.
Well, here's Shockey trying to make the block on Engelberg. You're going to see him right here on the end, and he just does not do a real good job. Number one, Engelberger's able to fight through that, and I don't know if Engelberg got his hand on the ball. Look, Joe, like he was able to hit Reggie Bush's arm, and Reggie's own arm is what knocked it loose. But in any event, the ball's on the ground, and the Denver Broncos are able to score the 7 points. And as I said coming into this, it looked like Reggie Bush was saying that I need to run inside because they're stretching me so far to the sideline, and the one time they come off of that, he lays the ball on the ground.
Injury on the field will take a timeout. New Orleans has to get something done right now. Drew Brees has started 8 for 10 for just 52 yards. Longest completion 14 yards and only 1 completion to a wide receiver. He comes underneath, and he's lucky that thing wasn't picked off. I mean, there is just nowhere to go with a football for Drew Brees.
Yeah, and that's because Denver, who normally is a 4-down line defense, they are now going to a 3-down line and 8 guys in coverage, knowing that the New Orleans Saints are going to have to throw the football. I know coming into this game, Denver says, hey, it all starts with stopping the run. That's what we've got to do. They've been able to do that. This hasn't been a real good test for them because of what New Orleans has back there, but they've been able to stop the run. Now they've got a lead, and they're going to be expecting a lot of passes here on out.
They hand to Reggie Bush, and there's just nothing there. Brought down with a loss on the play, a loss of 1. Webster was there. Ecubon was there. Boss Bailey was there. And the running game is just totally non-existent for the Saints.
Yeah, and for the Saints, I mean, you come into this game and you know that the Denver Broncos have been having some problems running the football. Now you've got your left tackle, Jamal Brown, who goes down, and obviously that could be really critical considering that they are going to have to start throwing the football more.
So they'll check on Brown, and we will take a timeout. See number 64 there, Zach Strief takes over at left tackle for Jamal Brown, who limped off the field. They take a look at him, and it's 3rd down and 11 for the Saints. A blitz. Brees steps up, completes to Reggie Bush, makes a move, and has an important first down out across the 40 to the 42. 23 yards to Reggie Bush, and boy, did the Saints need that.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jeremy Shockey, who started out split out wide, motions down, and then he's able to pick up the blitz. At the last minute, he sees Dre Bly coming off the edge. And without that pickup, Drew Brees is probably sacked in the backfield, and they don't get the first down.
23-yard catch and run on 3rd down and 11. Backed up their own end of the field and backed up on the scoreboard by 18. Handoff is to Reggie Bush. He gets to the 45, gain 3. Reggie Bush in his career is averaging just 3.6 yards per rush. Their all-time leading ground gainer is on the bench, Deuce McAllister. Had double knee surgery in 07, a torn ACL that he suffered in September. Now Pierre Thomas comes into the game, but when you read the clips, Deuce McAllister is itching to get back in there, and they evidently don't feel like he's ready to carry the load.
I tell you what, I think I'd put him in now and at least try to see what he could give you.
2nd down and 7, because the other guys aren't giving anything up the middle between the tackles. Pierre Thomas carries it And DJ Williams, the outstanding linebacker from Miami in his 5th year, makes the tackle after a gain of 1.
Yeah, Joe, and I don't think Deuce McAllister is, he's certainly not the back that he was 5-6 years ago or even 3 years ago, and he knows that. But, as you said, here's a guy with a great deal of pride. He's been through some injuries coming off the knee surgery, but yet he feels that he can contribute. I know he got a couple of carries last week and ran the ball pretty hard on those 2 carries. I agree. I think I'd at least put him in and see what he could do in this game, considering the fact that they've not been able to run the ball with either Reggie Bush or Pierre Thomas up to this point.
Second timeout taken by New Orleans. We will stay here before this 3rd down play for Drew Brees and the Saints. This is a Denver defense that started the afternoon ranked 27th in total defense in the NFL. They had a rough second half last week against San Diego, but we all know the story by now with what happened on the stretch in that game. Audiences and critics agree that the new Fox Tuesday is the best night on television. It all starts with a new house at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, followed by an all-new Fringe, a very well-respected and highly rated show and reviewed show. That's at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. Tuesday is all new, all night right here on Fox. Viewer discretion is advised. 3rd down and 6 for Drew Brees.
Well, and that graphic there is a little bit skewed because it would show that New Orleans is controlling the ball, which they're not. I mean, the only reason they lead in time of possession is because of the fumble and the extra offensive possession.
Brees with time, backpedals as he hits his tight end wide open, Billy Miller, to the 26-yard line, and there was nobody around Miller. A 28-yard completion from Drew Brees.
Well, and Drew Brees is able to get some time here. Again, they're only rushing 3 guys, and that's why he has the time to step in the pocket and deliver the football. They do a nice job on the outside, running a wide receiver through and then putting Billy Miller in behind that in a wide open zone.
Jari Evans, the one that threw that last key block to allow Brees a chance to basically backpedal as he threw it. And if you ask Sean Payton who their best offensive lineman is, he doesn't hesitate. He says it's Jari Evans. 1st down, New Orleans. Down by 18, and that's David Patton with a catch. He hops out of bounds with a gain of 8. And here's a game break. Kurt Menefee.
Well, the Saints are struggling on the ground in your game, but no such problems for the 49ers and Frank Gore. This 4-yard score gave them a 14-0 lead. It's 14-3 right now on top of the Lions. Back to Denver, Joe, Troy, and Pat.
You think Mike Martz would like to run it up, the new offensive coordinator with San Francisco, for Mike Nolan against his former team, the Lions?
Yeah, you mean more than he normally does each and every other week?
Yeah, this has the chance of being a collegiate type score if they get the chance. Handoff is to Reggie Bush, who bounces it, still trying to get to the outside, and he carries it to the 15 for a 1st down. DJ Williams on the tackle, a gain of 3.
Well, this is a good look at one, the feet of Reggie Bush and what makes him so electric, but it also points out that in this league it's just hard to do some of the things that he did in college. When you're talking about bouncing it to the outside, these guys pursue fast, they get out on the corner. I mean, that was a lot of effort for just a couple of yards, but he does have great talent. It's just a matter of being able to get him out in space to utilize it all.
Play action from Brees, and spinning as he catches it is Reggie Bush, and he's out of bounds at the 5, right at the marker. Nate Webster hit him and knocked him out. That was an impressive catch by Reggie Bush.
I'll tell you what, I mean, Reggie Bush has been involved in just about every offensive play here in this first half for New Orleans, trying every which way to get him the football.
And they have given Bush enough for a 1st down, so 1st and goal from the 5, and there's the day so far for Reggie Bush. Shockey leads with 3 catches. Saints need a touchdown. They fake a reverse, hand to Pierre Thomas, who is to the goal line and in. Touchdown, Saints. Touchdown, New Orleans. The Denver Broncos don't agree. A late call, and we'll take a look and see if he broke the plane.
Well, it's just right up the gut, and we're going to get a good look at it from here as to whether or not the ball crosses before he goes to the ground. And I don't think the ball made it.
No, I agree with you. It looked like it was trapped underneath his body and not really leading the way. There's the ball underneath, but they call it a touchdown. And I don't know if you want to throw your second challenge on that play if you're Mike Shanahan. They let it go, and it's 21-10. So the Saints, with a big completion to Reggie Bush on a 3rd and 11, eventually get it down and into the end zone to make it an 11-point game. Well, Jamal Brown doesn't look very good as he limps his way off the field here in Denver. Drew Brees on that last drive when the Saints desperately needed it, 4 of 5, 69 yards, and completed big passes on 3rd and 11 and 3rd and 6 for first downs. Gramatica kicks it away. This one he gets underneath and pops it deep into the end zone where Andre Hall will take a knee. Every week we like to take a little walk down memory lane, and one of the all-time greats to play here in Denver, Colorado, Floyd Little, known as the franchise here in Denver, the first ever first-round draft choice to sign with the Broncos. Trademark bow-legged running style, the 5'10". Floyd Little led the AFC in rushing in 70 and 71. He finished his career with 6,323 yards. Good for 7th place all time in the NFL when he retired. He is not in the Hall of Fame, and nowadays is the owner of a Ford dealership in the Seattle area. But there is more to that story. Here is deep and picked off by McKenzie, trying to force it into Eddie Royal, and Mike McKenzie, first game back this season, has a pick and the return to the 35 of Denver.
Well, you're going to see Eddie Royal trying to make another double move. As we talked about earlier, it's what they got the touchdown on with Brandon Marshall on the outside. You see the shoulders there of Jay Cutler. He's just not able to get the ball up the field. Mike McKenzie making his return, does a nice job of playing this one. Doesn't fight or doesn't bite on the move. Stays with Eddie Royal and is in perfect position then for the interception.
McKenzie is a guy who tore his right ACL last year in week 16, has worked his way back, has his 27th career interception, and is by far the Saints' best cornerback with size, and he makes his presence felt. Handoff is to Reggie Bush, who's brought down in the backfield by Jamie Winborn. A loss of 2.
I'll tell you what, this Denver defense is doing a heck of a job of not letting these running backs get to the outside or really up inside either. I mean, the touchdown, they got the good push at that one, but other than that, they have done a nice job stopping the run, and as Bob Slowick told us, that's where it all starts. I'm a little surprised, however, that New Orleans is sticking with it. They've had their success throwing the football. That's what this team is really built around. The Broncos have had problems with that, and I would think they'd go more to it.
Brees dumps it off. Penalty flag comes in as Reggie Bush picks his way through the defense and in for a touchdown. But there is a flag down. And we'll get the call from Ron Winter. It's a hold. It's a hold against New Orleans.
Holding. Offense number 60. 64. Offense number 64. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
That's Zach Strief, who has Brown.
And that's Elvis Dumerville, who he's working against pass rushers in football. And he already got by him, and boy, you get a hold on a screen play. I mean, that's the play where you want to be able to let that defender come after the quarterback a little bit. Drew Brees is in a position where he can navigate that rusher. You should never have a holding penalty on a screen play.
So take it off the board. It was looking like a 4-point game as Reggie Bush showed what he can do in the open field. That's just pretty to watch. Instead, it's 2nd and 22 after the hold against Strief. Play action from Brees, who goes over the middle and guns it in for a completion to Lance Moore. Impressive throw down to the 30, 4 yards short of a first down.
You know, Denver's not rushing a lot of people, and because of that, Drew Brees is getting some pretty good protection right now. They got Jari Evans, the guard. He's the personal protector in the middle. And Drew Brees was actually a little late on this throw. This should have been a real easy completion. Instead, it was contested by Dre Bly, but really an excellent catch there by Lance Moore.
kind of see where you're going with that, though. With only a 3-man rush, a guy like Drew Brees, he's got time and room in front of him. He can pick apart any defense. 4-man rush here. Brees finds Reggie Bush, who hops out of bounds with a New Orleans first down.
You know, I think this is the type of game, really, that Drew Brees likes. I mean, as far as being able to split out the defense, try to start isolating some of these receivers on some of these defensive backs. And, you know, they spent a lot of time last week studying that San Diego film, what they were able to do. Now, they don't have the personnel that San Diego has, but we talked about the confidence level of Drew Brees coming into this game. He feels that he does have the players that can isolate some of the weaknesses within this Denver defense. 3 straight third-down completions for first downs for Drew Brees, as Reggie Bush, with a little hesitation, down the sideline and in for the touchdown. Somehow stayed in bounds. He hesitated Troy in the hole and then broke loose. A great job of opening the hole right there for the offensive line. And then again, Reggie Bush just outrunning everybody out to the corner and being able to get it into the end zone. A great job offensively of overcoming that penalty and then still being able to get a touchdown off of that series. A first down carry of 23 yards for a touchdown for Reggie Bush. That's his first rushing touchdown of the season. And it all came off the interception from Mike McKenzie. They're happy to have McKenzie back, and now they're trying to get Reggie Bush untracked. I'll tell you, they got right back into this ball game because of the turnover, and you can see Reggie Bush reading his blockers there. He's got a double team here, and he got the single block there, and that's what creates the lane. And then Lance Moore trying to give him some help, but Reggie bounces it back to the outside and just is able to outrun Dre Bly there to the corner of the end zone. And then shows great athletic ability to somehow tiptoe down the sideline and get it in the end zone. And Sean Payton is always one of the most demonstrative coaches on any sideline, and he's got to be thrilled because his team 10 minutes ago was dead in the water here in Denver. I mean, it would have been easy for them, but you know, Denver comes out and they turn the ball over. They try to take a shot up the field. Mike McKenzie does a good job of getting the interception and giving good field position. And like I say, a nice job by New Orleans overcoming the big penalty and still being able to get touchdowns, because as we've seen already, when you get down in there, it's not going to do any good coming away with field goals. Down 21-3, now down 21-17. So 14 straight points and another line drive kick. This ball is returned by Peyton Hillis, and the fullback is out across the 30. Pretty good return by Hillis of 23 yards. Well, which baseball team do you root for? Out here, the Colorado Rockies. They're playing today, by the way, and hosting the Arizona Diamondbacks. You look at the matchups next Saturday. There are 5 games listed. Fox will show 4 of them, depending on who needs what in that last weekend. Yankees, Red Sox, Cubs, and Brewers. Brewers are fighting. Mets have blown another late lead. Philadelphia's leading over Florida. Here is Selvin Young, and Young picks up 8. The Mets lost today, and so for New York, more heartbreak with that bullpen, and they are going to be in a final week dogfight to try to get into the postseason. 2nd down and 2, and Reggie Bush has had a great second quarter. Fumble early, and he has come back from that. 2nd and 2. Toss to Selvin Young, running right, and he loses yardage back to the 40. McKenzie up to make the stop, a loss of 1, and Mike McKenzie certainly isn't coming back slowly. Watch Mike McKenzie. Once he recognizes that it's a run, he comes out and he takes on the right tackle, Ryan Harris, knowing that he can't take him up high. He's going to get blown up. But that's what you do. I mean, there's a lot of defensive backs in this league that won't even go down low on a pulling offensive lineman. A great job by Mike McKenzie bottling that thing up. Brings up 3rd down and 3.
from the 40. Cutler over the middle, and it's somehow into the arms of Brandon Marshall. Making moves, will not go down, and he's forced out near the 30. Case Fajarn forces him out. Troy, that ball was almost picked off, and then the next thing you know, there's Brandon Marshall for 29 yards.
Well, the throw was late by Jake Cutler. Brandon Marshall on the outside. He's running a slant. The ball should have been on him much earlier than what it was. Jake Cutler started to go to Marshall. He went back to the other side. Then he comes back late. Looked like Vilma might have gotten a hand on it, but not enough to keep it from getting into the hands of Brandon Marshall. Tell you what, it was a dangerous throw by Jake Cutler, but a big gain.
Selvin Young gets it, makes a move into the open field and down near the 12. 19-yard run by Selvin Young.
You know, for those of us that have been following the Denver Broncos all these years, and you wonder how they're able to get running backs, this one, Selvin Young, being a free agent out at the University of Texas, and to be able to make some of the moves that he makes and have the success that he has running the football, it's really quite remarkable.
They've usually had a very good offensive line. They've been able to plug in and running back, and those guys have done well as Young gets smacked, but stays on his feet. Roman Harper delivered a blow, but Young didn't go down, a gain of 4.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting in visiting with Mike Shanahan as to how he uses these running backs, because he has Selvin Young, he has Andre Hall along with Michael Pittman, and he said that he likes to put Selvin Young in for 5 plays, then he'll come back and he'll put Andre Hall in for 5 plays, and then he'll mix Michael Pittman in on the special situation, short yardage goal line, and it's all in an attempt to keep Selvin Young fresh so that when he goes into the 4th quarter, he plays as long as he can go without getting tired.
2nd and 6. Selvin Young cuts it up, and meeting him there in the hole and making a good play was Will Smith, and he didn't budge.
Well, this is a big defensive series right now for the New Orleans Saints. The way that they've been able to scratch back into this ball game here in the first half, right now being down by 4. If they're able to hold Denver here on 3rd down and force a field goal, assuming they don't then score themselves offensively and only go down 1 possession, 7 points, I think they'd have to feel pretty good about that considering the way in which this game started.
3rd down and 7. Cutler steps up and throws high and out of the reach of Brandon Stokely, who then gets slammed down to the grass at the end of the play, and the field goal unit will come on for the Denver Broncos.
Go to that stack set. They've got Scheffler going to the outside, and this is similar. Not quite the same play they ran last week for the touchdown and then the 2-point conversion against San Diego, but they're working Stokely there in the middle. Pretty good coverage and a ball that just got away from Cutler.
Here's Prater now to try a 27-yarder. He's been perfect so far this season, and that continues. You talked, Troy, about Selvin Young. He was an undrafted college free agent out of Texas. 9 of the 11 starters on this offense are homegrown. And in 2006 in particular, they didn't really miss. They got Jay Cutler in the 1st round. They got Tony Scheffler, their very good tight end, in the 2nd round, and then Brandon Marshall, who looks like he's one of the emerging stars in the NFL, in the 4th round. And that's not it from that 2006 draft. Their starting right guard, Chris Cooper, came in that same group, and Elvis Dumerville. I mean, that is a tremendous draft and really the nucleus of this 2-0 team.
No doubt, and they always say, you know, after the draft, everybody wants to weigh in on who had the best drafts, and every year you say, well, we really won't know until 3 or 4 years down the road, and now we're 3 years removed from that draft, and yeah, that's about as good as it gets right there.
They added Eddie Royal, the wide receiver, this year. And so this is a young group for Mike Shanahan. The average age just over 26.5 years old. 10 rookies on the opening day roster. This is the youngest group that Mike Shanahan has had in his time here with the Broncos. He's in his 14th year. Some more headliners from the early games here in week 3. Chad Pennington, part of that run up the score on the New England Patriots, who had won 21 consecutive regular season games, and they were blown out by the Dolphins today. Jason Campbell, he stays hot after a win last week. The big fourth quarter against the Saints, and Larry Fitzgerald, not enough. Big day, but not enough as they lost to the Washington Redskins.
And you got to be pleased with what you've seen of the Washington Redskins, the way that they got beat in the opener, and a lot of people questioning what kind of team they were going to have and what kind of head coach Jim Zorn was, and yet they've come out the last couple of weeks and played well.
On first down, Brees throws and completes. That's Shockey, and he doesn't go down easy either. He's out to the 34, a gain of 14 yards. As the clock continues to wind, realize that New Orleans has only one timeout left.
And you look at the top quarterbacks in the league today, Drew Brees being one of them. These are the situations that they really like the most, and getting into this no huddle. Denver, they're confused, having to call a timeout.
I think Denver had about 30 guys running off the field prior to that play, trying to get everybody off. You know, I thought it was interesting when we talked to Mike Shanahan about a couple of things. How he has delegated a lot of the play calling authority to Jeremy Bates, and really he says, I just work with the area of this team that needs help. And the other is that he's been very open, saying we can be as good as anybody in the NFL, but he does it for a reason.
That's right. I mean, you don't hear many coaches very often say that about their football team, particularly early, you know, in a season. And you know, the reason he's doing it is because he knows he's got a young football team, and he wants them to believe that they can be a great offensive football team. He knows they can be. He wants them to believe that. I tell you, as we know, Joe, it doesn't take long being around Mike Shanahan to know that he likes this football team.
Yeah, and that this is one of the best run organizations in the NFL. And he has everything to do with that. First down, New Orleans. Brees over the middle with a completion to Devery Henderson. That's into Denver territory, a 19-yard completion as Drew Brees and the Saints offense trying to answer again.
Yeah, and Denver is coming again with just a three-man rush, which a lot of defenses do in this situation, but you're giving a good quarterback a lot of time, they're going to find somebody open. Now they bring linebacker blitz.
And a completion to Shockey underneath. He's down to the 31, and that'll take us to the 2-minute warning here in Denver. How about this come up off the deck act by the New Orleans Saints? They're back in and on the move, down by 7. 2 minutes left.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by the new AT&T. Your world delivered.
Another impressive drive being put together by the Saints. At one point, they were getting throttled 21-3. Denver about ready to overwhelm them, and then we watched Sean Payton go up and down the sideline, pumping up his troops, trying to keep them in it, and it's worked. 7-point game, first down, Saints at the Denver 31. They throw to Reggie Bush, trying to get some blocking out in front of him with Patton, and that play did not work at all as Elvis Dumerville made a tremendous defensive play, 2nd and 9.
Yeah, that's the second time they've tried that wide out screen there to Reggie Bush. I think maybe they ought to can that
one. One timeout left. Clock is running. Plenty of time for the Saints. Over the middle, wide open is the tight end Billy Miller. Just activated as the Saints are playing without Mark Campbell. They brought Billy Miller back onto the active roster, and he's got 2 catches in this half.
Well, they're doing a good job of spreading out the defense horizontally, and that's why they're putting that pressure on the linebacking level and an easy reception.
Brees is in trouble, throws and completes to Meacham. Penalty flag comes in. Meacham is down to the 5 and will get the call. Brees just got that away. And looks like a hold against Denver.
Illegal contact. Defense number 32. The penalties decline. Play results in a first down.
So there's Robert Meacham, who last week had his first catch in the NFL, went for a 19-yard touchdown, and this one sets up 1st and goal at the 5.
And for a guy who hasn't played much, this was one of the matchups that Sean Payton liked. He likes getting Robert Meacham out there one-on-one on Dre Bly. I don't know that it was necessarily all Dre Bly that initiated that contact. It looked like Meacham might have extended the arms as well.
Drew Brees is 6 for 6, Troy, on this drive, and he's completed balls to 5 different receivers. That is tough to defend. Here's Patton. Add him to the list. He's down to the 1. And a timeout is taken here by Denver. They are left with only 1. We talked about the Visa halftime. That's what you're going to say? Visa halftime report is coming up. Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy. They'll have scores and highlights from around the league. And the Fox Sports Ticker will keep you updated with up to the second stats on what is a really weird week 3 around the NFL.
You know, I was going to say, I mentioned it when the New Orleans Saints were on defense. If they could hold Denver to a field goal on that last possession, which they were able to do to keep it a 7-point game. And this is, which I think even that in and of itself was a big momentum shift in the favor of New Orleans. Now you're talking about the Saints offensively driving the ball all the way down the field. This is even a bigger lift for this New Orleans team if they're able to punch this in for a touchdown, and I think pretty demoralizing for this Bronco defense.
Look at the way Brees has spread it around. What a half. 22 of 25 for 226 yards. 2nd and goal. Pierre Thomas did not get in. Now 3rd and goal coming up. And a touch
for not getting points if they don't score here, but I like it. Now I'm an offensive player and I'm a quarterback, and I, like Drew Brees, would say, hey, let's go for it, we can do it.
Now evidently the call has come down from the replay booth, and they bring Ron Winter over to look under the hood as Carney talks with Jeremy Shockey about that play. I mean, I'm with you. The ball never got up into the hands of Drew Brees, and then fortunately for the Saints, there was Carney waiting for the football just to get on top of it. They're trying to determine the spot of the football, is what we're being told in the replay booth. Either way, it looks like it's going to roughly be around the 1-yard line, give or take, and beyond that, the New Orleans Saints are going to go for it on 4th down. But they are right now under the hood trying to come up with a spot for the football, which is a good luck there underneath that pile of bodies. It was stacked up right at the goal line. So a booth review here, and look at what's happened this quarter with the total yards. And Sean Payton, Troy, has to be awfully pleased and excited with how his group got up on the road down 21-3 in a blink, and they've come back and they have a chance to tie it here at the end of the half.
And a place that's not easy to play. I mean, for a visiting team to come here to Invesco Field at Mile High and do what the Saints have done here in the first half has been pretty impressive. How about Drew Brees in the first half that he has had? Only 3 balls have been incomplete.
After review, the snap was muffed by the quarterback, advanced legally by number 44. He was short of the goal line when he was down by contact. Therefore, it is 4th down, short of the goal line.
So really no change under the review, and a new rule this year is if the quarterback muffs the snap under center, the ball can be advanced. Either way, Carney was short, and here we go on 4th down and goal. You do not expect a running play.
I expect play action, and I would think that the Denver Broncos will be holding up Shockey right there on the outside.
They hand it to Thomas. Thomas did not get in. And we will earmark that play by the Denver defense as they stand up, backed up near their own end zone. They not only keep 6 points off the board, potentially 7, but by the Saints foregoing the field goal, they can lead by 7 at the half.
Yeah, that wasn't even close. You're going to see Jari Evans. He pulls, and I've never liked pulling offensive linemen down there on the goal line, but you know, hey, give credit where credit's due. DJ Williams fills the hole, does a good job, a good push inside, and a great stop there by Denver. You talk about how there are momentum shifts. Well, Denver just regained the momentum.
Now Cutler hands to Hall, and he is brought down for a safety. The first guy there was Charles Grant, and instead of keeping it with a quarterback and pushing forward just to avoid that very situation, Hall's brought down for a safety, and there's your momentum going back to New Orleans.
Yeah, it's easy after the fact to say, well, why wouldn't you just run the quarterback sneak? But that's all they really had to do. New Orleans with no timeouts. I mean, all they had to do was get this play off without getting tackled in the end zone, and the half is over.
Unbelievable. And I mean, you talk about not close. He took about half a step, and Grant was there waiting for him to rack him up for the safety, and now it's a 5-point game.
And now the Saints have the momentum.
What a weird half. What a great half of football. We've seen a little bit of everything.
Well, we expected a high-scoring game, but this has been really something. I mean, the way that Denver was able to come out early in the game and build the lead that they were able to, and impressive job in the second quarter there by the Saints, and nice job by Charles Grant with the safety.
So now Reggie Bush will wait for this kick from the Denver punter, Brett Kern, and Reggie Bush is a threat in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't over yet. I mean, this special teams group for Denver has had their problems.
So the kick, they won't even give it to Reggie Bush, and now the penalty flag flies as that kick goes out of bounds.
Kickoff out of bounds. By rule, the ball will be placed at the 50-yard line. First down.
So that's the respect for Reggie Bush, but because you're starting that far back, now you give the ball to New Orleans at the 50, and there's still 23 seconds left in this half.
Well, let me just tell you, Brett Kern had a lot of stares coming over to the sideline, wondering what in the world he had just done. Now, I don't know if somebody told him to kick it out of bounds or not, but now you give the New Orleans Saints the ball on the 50-yard line. They only need to pick up just about 20 yards to be in position for a field goal with still plenty of time, with timeouts or not.
Martin Grammatica's career long is 55 yards, which means you'd have to get it to roughly the 37. Brees over the middle, too high for Shockey. He was open, and Brees missed him. One of the few bad throws by Drew Brees in this half.
And if they make that reception right there, they're immediately in field goal range. Again, Drew Brees with plenty of time because of the three-man rush. And we've just seen it throughout this second quarter that with the three-man rush, they're not getting pressure on Drew Brees, and it's very difficult then, I don't care how good your secondary is, to try to hold up in coverage. Now here's again, they're going with a three-man rush again, unless they bring the linebacker in the middle.
So second down and 10. Over the middle, pass is caught by Moore. Now the Saints have to get up and spike it. They have no timeouts. They have to clock the football. And look at this. With the kick out of bounds, they take over at the 50. A completion is made, and now the ball will be placed in a very makeable area for Martin Grammatica. Roughly a 51-yard try in that neighborhood and well within his range.
Yeah, now he has not attempted a field goal of 50 yards or more this year, but he is perfect on the season.
It's really between 50 and 51 yards on this try by Grammatica. This could make it a two-point game. It is no good. Had the distance, but wide left. We'll have to all catch our breath after this first half. 21-3 at one point in favor of the Denver Broncos. That nearly made it a two-point game. 5-point lead for the Broncos at the half. Visa halftime coming up. Look at all those points after a half of play here in Denver, but at the end of the half it was the defense that stepped up. Whether it was a goal line stand by the Broncos defense, they celebrate, or the pressure up front by the Saints defense. Grant and Ellis, the rookie, bringing down Hall for his safety. It's a 5-point game in Denver. Second half coming up.
Romo and the Cowboys take on the Redskins. It's another great slate of thrilling NFL action next week.
That first half had a little bit of everything. A lot of throws, a lot of catches, not a ton in the running game. Total of 101, 50 for the Saints. They had the ball an awful lot. A safety, a goal line stand, and a 21-3 game that turned into 24-19 at the half. Jay Cutler and the Denver Broncos will get the ball to start the second half as Andre Hall waits for the kick from Gramatica. Another line drive. And Hillis, the fullback, takes it from inside the 10. Stays on his feet. Another pretty good return out to the 30-yard line. And let's go down to Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe, I saw sideline before. Some problems with the microphone. I guess we'll get back with you in a second.
It's just like most calls that I get on my cell phone. Just as we were ready to give up on that, she came back in full. We'll get you back down to Pam in just a second after a first down play from the Denver Broncos from their own 30. Pass is behind Eddie Royal. Incomplete. 2nd and 10, and Cutler's upset with himself.
Well, I think this is an important possession here for Denver, primarily, not necessarily because they need to score points. I think primarily because if you saw the statistics that we showed there in the first half, the Broncos had, or excuse me, the Saints had twice as many plays as what the Broncos had. And so you've got to believe that that Broncos defense is pretty tired. Now, they had a chance to get rested up there at halftime, but you'd like to try to keep them on the sidelines as much as you can right now.
Here's Andre Hall over the right side. Not much, only 2. 3rd and long coming up for Denver. It could be a quick 3 and out if this Saints defense can step up. They did certainly at the end of the half when they came up with a safety as Charles Grant and Cedric Ellis, the rookie from USC, were there to greet Andre Hall for the final 2 points of the first half.
And I'll tell you, Mike McKenzie, for a guy who just came back, a lot of people wondering how he would hold up in pass coverage. I'll tell you what, he's been good there, but he's been excellent as a run support defender.
3rd down and 8. Blitz coming from the Saints. Cutler fires low and incomplete for Marshall. He had Marshall open. The throw was a little low and a little short, and it's 3 and out for the Denver offense.
Yeah, you know, Jay Cutler does a good job of sliding in the pocket, and Brandon Marshall, he was open. You know, you got Jason David who falls down on the outside. I mean, really pretty easy. Not a difficult throw for Jay Cutler to make, and it just got away from him. And occasionally you will see that from him where a ball is low and in the feet of a receiver.
Second punt for Kern. Reggie Bush waits for it, takes it from just inside the 20. Outruns one tackler, puts together a good return, gets a couple of extra yards at the end of the run back. 16-yard return by Reggie Bush, who has been busy today, to say the least. Saints have the ball first time, second half, down 5.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. By E-Trade. And by Burger King. Have it your way.
Sean Payton's team is back in it, down by 5. First possession of the second half. They start at their own 36. Pressure from Doomerville. He gets ridden out of the play, and the completion to Carney, the fullback, good for 1. And let's again try with Pam Oliver on the field.
Well, Joe, Mike Shanahan pretty, I don't know, casual about the way things ended in the first half. He said, we're moving the ball well, but defensively, we've got to get some stops on 3rd down. Now, Sean Payton very interestingly told me that they prepared for a Denver Broncos defense that plays man-to-man about 80% of the time, but today they're seeing a whole lot of zone, and Drew Brees and company are able to have some success underneath. Meanwhile, tackle Jamal Brown is out for the day with a groin injury.
All right, good information, Pam. And Brees has completed balls to 9 different receivers. There's one of them. Lance Moore doesn't get a ton. Picks up 3, and it will be 3rd down and 6. If you're the Broncos defense, though, you look at what's happened here. The Saints really don't have much of a running game going. They're playing without their best weapon in Marcus Colston. The Denver defense had the Saints down 21-3 here at home, and yet they let them right back in the game.
Yep, and like Pam said, and Mike Shanahan told her, it's been because they haven't been able to make stops on 3rd down, and here's the first one of the second half.
3rd and 6. Brees with pressure throws, and it's out of the reach of Reggie Bush. Drew Brees ended up on the ground at the end of that play, and it's a quick 3 and out.
And Zach Strief, who came in replacement of Jamal Brown at left tackle, Elvis Dumerville, a great pass rusher, does a good job of getting around the corner. Probably could have called Strief for holding on that play, and because of the pressure that Drew Brees felt, he's rushed on the throw and the ball goes high.
Weatherford with a punt. Eddie Royal, the rookie, waiting for it. Lets it go over his head, takes a bounce and into the end zone. The Broncos will start leading by 5 at their own 20. Early 3rd quarter.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Chevy, an American Revolution.
Look at these numbers on Jay Cutler, who's running that huddle. Since the first quarter, 1 for 5. They've already had a possession in the second half. Maybe the bigger part is not the 4 incompletions, the 29 yards, and the interception, but the fact that he's only thrown it 5 times since the first quarter. Barely had the ball, yet they lead by 5. There's a completion out to Eddie Royal. A quick hitter out to the left, and a gain of 6 yards. So Cutler with that unique relationship with Jeremy Bates, who's 32 years old. Guy who calls the plays for the New England Patriots, Josh McDaniels, is now 32 years old. Young guys, but a lot of responsibility, and Jay Cutler and Jeremy Bates have a great relationship. Give each other trouble, argue from time to time. Cutler runs, slides for a first down. He and Brandon Marshall end up together on the ground out near the 35-yard line, and a run of 7 yards for first down.
You talk about Jeremy Bates. His dad, Jim Bates, who was actually a defensive coordinator here for the Broncos last year, was a defensive line coach in Dallas when I was playing. Jeremy Bates, I've known him since he was about 12 years old. He was shagging balls for us in training camp. I've watched his development. It's an amazing thing to see that he is now the guy calling the plays. And before, whenever we talked about Broncos offense, it was always Mike Shanahan's offense. Well, this is Jeremy Bates. I mean, he's the guy putting it together. He's installing it during the week, and he's calling all of the plays on game day.
Play action from Cutler, who throws, and the pass behind Scheffler. Good play by Grant. He had pressure on Cutler and really bothered the timing of that play.
And you see Scheffler here, and he has been a real weapon for this offense and did a great job last week in that win they had against San Diego, and he has not yet caught a ball here today. And Grant, I'm surprised that they didn't get the call there, because it sure looked like he could have pulled up, and that is exactly what the referee is looking for.
Grant with 3 tackles on the day, also forced that safety as Hall carries it over the left side. I know it surprised you. Hall picked up 5. When Jay Cutler said, to be honest with you, my relationship with Mike Shanahan is we talk about, side stuff, but we're really not talking football really since training camp ended, which is shocking.
Yeah, it was amazing for both of us to hear that, especially myself, knowing the relationship that he had with John Elway. He was his offensive coordinator for a number of years when they won some Super Bowls, or got to some Super Bowls, I should say, and then was the head coach, and he was very involved with the quarterbacks, even when Kubiak was around, and even with Jake Plummer. But yeah, this is Jeremy Bates' show, and it just shows you the confidence that Mike Shanahan has in this young offensive coach.
It was Brandon Marshall who popped up and took the timeout. 3rd down and 5 when we come back as Denver spends their first time out of the half. 3rd down and 5 for the Denver Broncos. Ball just outside their own 37. Handoff is to Selvin Young, who carries for a 1st down. Inside handoff, and they caught this New Orleans defense looking for the pass. It was good for 8 and a 1st down.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Another example of this offensive line. You know, they get so much of the attention because of the protection that they've given Jay Cutler here early in the season, but they still do a great job in run blocking as well.
Now they fake the handoff. Cutler throws. Marshall was left alone, and he's overthrown. And all Jay Cutler could do is squat down in frustration. He had Brandon Marshall wide open down the sideline. We look ahead to next week. It's a doubleheader weekend on Fox, and here are the early games, and we look forward to that late window. Troy and I will be in Dallas along with Pam Oliver for the Redskins and Cowboys.
You know, here's the play here. McKenzie thought he was going to get safety help. He just lets Marshall go right by him, and the safety never got over the top, and McKenzie went right to him after that play and said, hey, I got to have you if I'm going to be playing it as though I have help over the top.
Casey Wigman, the center, snapped it too late, it looked like, since everybody else moved.
Ball start. Offense, right guard. 5-yard penalty. Remains 2nd down.
So 2nd and 15.
You mentioned Casey Wigman, Joe, and boy, how fortunate were they to get him. You know, they thought coming into the season, Tom Nalen, who had been a 13-year starter for this franchise and a great player for a long time, and then he goes down, and Casey Wigman, who they had picked up, who was available after Kansas City let him go, and he's ended up starting these first 3 ball games, and more than likely will be the starter all year.
Over the middle and underneath, the pass is complete to Pittman. He gets it inches inside New Orleans territory. Good for 9. 3rd down coming up. Shanahan was shocked that Wigman was even out there. As you said, let go by Kansas City. Wigman is making his 114th consecutive start here today.
You get a veteran guy in the middle, and I know this offensive line, you know, a lot of adjustments. You know, of course, they brought in Ryan Clady as their left tackle. Ryan Harris, his 1st year to start. Chris Cooper goes from left guard to right guard. Now you got Wigman in the middle, so a lot of moving parts. But they're really the reason why this offense has been as good as they've been.
3rd down and 6, and the pass is incomplete, but they're going to call pass interference on the play. It's against the Saints, and that will gobble up a big chunk of yardage inside the 30.
Well, Jason David gives up about 8 inches to Brandon Marshall.
Defense number 42. Penalized at the spot of the foul, and a 1st down.
And you see the arm bar right there running Marshall out of bounds, and they're going to call that. That's what the official is looking for. But you're talking about giving up 8 inches to Brandon Marshall, and that's why they worked his way, feeling that if they could get the ball up high, they've got an advantage. They didn't make the catch, but they got the call.
That is a 22-yard penalty against Jason David. 1st down at the New Orleans 28. A little rollout by Cutler, looking for the big play, and it's off the hands of Marshall. Marshall had position on Case Vaharn, and it was into and out of his hands.
Well, you're going to look at what play action does to a defensive front. They're all going to go this way, and then you've got Cutler coming out the other side. Now, this is what we were accustomed to seeing for all those years with this Denver offense. Obviously, they still have it in the playbook. They have a chance to Marshall, and this is a ball that he just does not generally drop. You get it anywhere near him, he goes up to make a play, and it was an easy one for him to catch. He's just unable to do so.
2nd and 10 from the 28. Blitz coming. The pass is caught by Marshall. A much tougher catch. And he has a 1st down just outside the 16.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Joe. I mean, that was a tougher catch than the one he dropped on the previous play. They bring pressure. They're isolated outside. Jay Cutler retreating, doing a good job showing the strength that he has within that arm. You've got a rookie, Tracy Porter, driving on the ball, and yet Cutler's able to get it there before he's able to make the play.
10th play of this drive. 3 catches now for Brandon Marshall. Out of the shotgun, Cutler stays on his feet and throws an incompletion to Selvin Young. Let's go for a game break. Here's Kurt.
Jacksonville at Indy, and Michael Strahan's upset pick on the pregame show was the Jaguars. Maurice Jones-Drew trying to help out Stray. 6-yard touchdown run, all set up by 34-yard Fred Taylor jaunt. They lead at 17-14 in the third quarter. Joe, Troy, and Pam.
All right, thank you very much. It's Indianapolis starting that day 1-1 against the winless Jacksonville Jaguars.
And I'll tell you, Brandon Marshall, you know, of course, he missed week 1, missed some time. He looks really fatigued on the field right now.
Over the left side, it's Hall. Breaking loose and sets up a 1st and goal. Vilma on the tackle. But not before Hall got to the 3.
Andre Hall, another one of those free agent pickups that Denver's been so successful at acquiring. Not much of a hole there. And he's able to get in. Tracy Porter got a little turned around, but just good running and knowing where he needed to get to in order to slither his way through.
There's the day for Andre Hall. And a timeout is taken on the field as Case Vaharn was slow to get off the field. He's over now near the sideline at about the 10. They marked Hall down inside the 3, just outside the 2, where it's 1st and goal.
Well, this has been quite a drive for Denver. The ball started on their 20-yard line, 11 plays now, and converting on 3rd down and giving that defense of their own a chance to rest. We see these guys for New Orleans. This has been an exhausting series for them. Mike McKenzie, who was not expected to play much today, he was only going to play in their nickel packages, but because of the personnel groupings Denver's been using, he's been on the field a lot. He's not on the field, however, right now.
Yeah, out right now on 1st and goal. Handoff is to Pittman. Touchdown, Denver. Pittman almost got one in the first half, and now he adds to his total 4 rushing touchdowns on the season with the 11th year player out of Fresno State. It's a 12-point game. A long, sustained drive. A big pass interference call on that drive. Set up the run by Pittman. He is in, and the Broncos lead by 12. Broncos trying to start 3-0. Denver's offense has had the ball 7 times. They've scored 4 times, 3 touchdowns. They also have a defensive score in this game, and now lead by 12. As the New Orleans Saints, who lost their first 4 last year, trying to avoid a 1-2 start. And so now Drew Brees and this offense will go back to work, and I think you have to be impressed with the way he's been able to move the ball around, and you wonder if the Broncos will figure out a way to get a little more pressure on Drew Brees in this second half.
Well, if they're going to do that, then they're going to have to bring more than the 3 people that we saw throughout much of the first half, and I agree. I mean, Drew Brees with a limited group of players has done an excellent job, and you know, as Bob Slowick told our Pam Oliver, it comes down to 3rd down. They didn't convert there on that first possession. They're going to need to do that because clearly it's about touchdowns right now if you're New Orleans, and it's a shootout.
Starting at their own 20, Brees going to air it out. Meacham downfield, hits him in stride. Robert Meacham still on his feet inside the 10. No penalty flags on the play as Marquand Manuel was beaten deep, and that's good for 73 yards.
Well, Meacham, he just goes vertical down the field. I mean, inside he's in the slot position, which is why you've got Marquand Manuel on him in man coverage. And he was just guessing. He was anticipating a shorter route. Doesn't know a lot about Robert Meacham. Hasn't seen much film on him. Last week was the first time he really got a chance to play. And a good job, a great way to open up this second possession of the second half for New Orleans.
They moved it up half a yard. It's officially a 74-yard completion right out of the gate to start the drive. And because it took so long to get everybody downfield, the play clock is expiring and New Orleans has to spend a timeout. It'll be a 1st and goal from the 6 when we come back. Why? Because of this 74-yarder between Brees and Meacham. Look at the passing yards for New Orleans. Drew Brees is now over 300 yards for the 2nd time this season, 22nd time in his career. The 29-year-old quarterback is faced with 1st and goal from the 6. Down by 12. Brees, Bush, touchdown. Reggie Bush into the end zone for the touchdown, and Troy, he got a good block out on the edge from someone.
Yeah, sure did. It was right tackle John Stinchcomb. That was designed all the way. I mean, you're going to see Drew Brees. He checks to it. He checks to it here. He killed. That's kill. He killed the first play that was going to be called. And you've got Stinchcomb who leads the way out in front right here. And then you run the swing pass. It's just another way of running a screen play and getting Bush out on the corner with a protector.
Stinchcomb basically got in the way of 3 guys going over to Reggie Bush.
Well, he's a big man.
And Bush did the rest, and it's a 5-point game again. Reggie Bush now has had a big day.
You take another look at it. John Stinchcomb, the right tackle, he's going to pull around and lead the way. He first is going to stick with his guy. He lets him go like you would. And then he gets in the way there of Boss Bailey. And as you said, he blocked a few others that allowed Bush to get on that pylon.
Here's the big play that set it up. 74 yards to the 2nd-year player Robert Meacham, who made his first NFL catch last week. Last year was a 1st-round draft pick, but inactive all year, trying to come back from a knee injury.
Well, I'll tell you, it's one thing last week when you're playing the San Diego Chargers with all the weapons that they have, LaDainian Tomlinson, Darren Sproles, Chris Chambers, Antonio Gates. But now you're going up against a New Orleans team that is really shorthanded without Marcus Colston, Terrence Copper, and the way that they have gone up the field has got to be concerning for this Denver defense and Bob Slowick. As the defensive coordinator. I tell you, Joe, we've got a guest in our booth today, John Lynch. They may be bringing him back to Denver. He may be playing a little safety after that play that Marquand Manuel gave up to Robert Meacham.
There he is right there. Thinking about getting into this racket. What would your recommendation be?
I think safety pays a little more.
Oh, now I've heard it all. Hall takes a knee. By the way, Reggie Bush, Troy, is having the kind of day now that you expect to see more of since he was the #2 overall pick. He's carried the ball. Okay, it hasn't been great. 4 yards a carry, but 11 carries, 44 yards a touchdown. But 8 catches, 64 yards a touchdown. So 108 total yards from scrimmage.
And he's got some big plays. He's got a 23-yard reception. He's also got a 23-yard run. And so is it a little unconventional as an every down back between the tackles? Absolutely. But they knew that when they brought him in. But yes, he's judged on big plays, and he's created those here this afternoon.
Randall Gay, the starting corner, has re-injured his hamstring as a penalty flag comes flying in on the completion of Marshall, which was good for a 1st down. We'll see if it stands. Doesn't look so. This one looks like it's against Denver.
Pass interference. Offense number 83. 10-yard penalty. Repeat 1st down.
83. Probably Scheffler 88. If you had to guess, with a fast-moving target. But they get Scheffler. The ball wasn't even to him. The pass was caught by Marshall.
Yeah, it's this one right here. It's the block that down the field. I mean, you can block. It was Daniel Graham, the tight end. You can block before the ball is complete, but it's got to be within the neutral zone of the line of scrimmage, within a couple of yards on each side. He obviously was blocking well beyond that.
So 1st and 20 from the 10. Fake the handoff. Nice pocket for Cutler, who completes it out near the sideline. And there's Scheffler as you mentioned, Troy had a big week last week against San Diego, and so far has been pretty much shut out. I mean, just shut down in this attack. He's a big-bodied guy. You could see him as either a big wide receiver or a lighter tight end, and a guy who played a lot of baseball in college. They really are developing him into one of the better receiving tight ends you'll find in the AFC. 2nd and 11. This one is caught by Royal, and he is slammed down by McKenzie.
I tell you, McKenzie, I mean, I don't know if our viewers out there really understand how difficult it is to miss the amount of time that a player like Mike McKenzie has missed, and to be able to play the way he's played. He reads this right away. I mean, he is on Eddie Royal right away from that bunch set. You know, a couple of things there. One, just great preparation on his part mentally throughout the week, studying the film, and then a great job off it also defensively by coordinator Gary Gibbs, getting him prepared to play today.
3rd down and 7 now for Denver. This one to the sideline for Marshall. What a beautiful throw and catch. He's out of bounds, but a 1st down inside New Orleans territory at the 44. Boy, he's good.
He's a terrific player. I mean, he's such a physical specimen. I was shocked how big this guy is on the field. I mean, he's listed at 6'4". He's closer to 6'6", in my opinion. There's where he stepped out of bounds. And he was just able to get in past McKenzie. They tried going to him earlier. It's when McKenzie got the interception. This time they're able to make the completion, and that's a good example right there, that picture. McKenzie was in good position to make a play. He had an arm in there. Brandon Marshall just took it away from him.
We got timeout, fellas. Timeout.
You heard it from down on the field. Timeout. The Denver Broncos take it. And we mentioned early the Eastern Illinois connection. Not only in this game, but really across the NFL. It's pretty deep, the connection. Mike Shanahan, Sean Payton. Shanahan, a backup quarterback for the Panthers in 73-74. Sean Payton had a great career there in Charleston, Illinois, 82 to 86. Had over 10,000 career passing yards, 3rd highest total in 1AA history. And his 75 touchdown passes still ranks 2nd in school history to who? Tony Romo. And then add Brad Childress to the list, who was a backup quarterback at Eastern Illinois, and he's the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, and Sean Payton was the offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys when they signed Tony Romo to a free agent contract. For those out there that may not know, Tony Romo was not drafted. He was signed as a free agent, actually wanted to go to Chicago or Green Bay, but neither team was interested.
Here's Hall on the handoff down just inside the 40. That's a big game tonight. That'll be a fun game to watch between the Green Bay Packers at home hosting the undefeated Dallas Cowboys. And you cannot say enough for the start by Aaron Rodgers, who is throwing and completing passes at 70%. He hasn't thrown an interception and has a quarterback rating of over 117.
And considering the problems that Brett Favre had against the Dallas Cowboys, not being able to beat the Dallas Cowboys, of course, most of those in Dallas. If Aaron Rodgers is able to win tonight, they may forget about old number 4 for a while.
Is that Billy Bob Thornton wearing his jersey here in Denver? Here's a pass complete. 1st down inside the 25, and it's Brandon Marshall again. Good for 18 yards.
Tell you, this Denver team, as we talked about earlier in the game, Joe, with the weapons that they have, Brandon Marshall obviously one of them. I mean, a guy who caught so many passes last year, and because of his size, you know, he is able to get up on people in a hurry. I mean, it only takes him about 2 steps every 5 yards because he is so tall, and he threatens the defense, and when they're in zone, it creates those voids where he just caught the last pass.
Also creates problems for a defense, and on defense, the Saints take their 2nd timeout. Each side only has one more timeout remaining in this 2nd half. By the way, Brandon Marshall's now over 100 yards for the 5th time in his last 6 games. We start our baseball coverage of the postseason with the NLCS after the divisional round, and we carry it through the World Series. And there are some very interesting matchups potentially out there, not only in the National League, but certainly some interesting matchups as you go to the next round in the World Series. You look at the NL East, the Mets. They lost and blew another lead today. Another heartbreaker for the Mets and their fans. Philadelphia's playing, as you see at the top of your screen, up 3-1 over Florida. Right now they're a game out, the Mets are, in the NL East. They're a half game up in the wild card over Milwaukee as the Brewers won today. Cutler, end zone, Royal, out of bounds. And there was McKenzie in good position again.
And I'll tell you what, Joe, I mean, we haven't talked much about it. We've tended to focus more on some of the problems that Denver has had defensively. But, you know, for an offense, that being New Orleans, who has fought back and given their team a chance to be in this ball game, you know, it's time for this defense to step up and make some plays as well, because they have not done a real good job of being able to slow down this Denver offense.
It's a good point, and they're tested here after the offense, and Drew Brees just made it a 5-point game. Out of the backfield, it's Selvin Young. Good throw by Cutler to hit him in stride, and Young is up the sideline for 7 yards. Let's go for a game break. Here's Kurt Menefee.
Well, you guys talked about Mike Martz wanting to run up the score. I don't know if this officially counts as running it up, but end around to Allen Rossum on 4th and 1. San Francisco in firm control, up 28-6 over the Lions in the 4th. Joe, Troy, and Pam.
So plenty to talk about there. The 49ers with their come-from-behind win last week in Seattle, and Detroit staring at another loss. They're 31-83 since 2001. Here's a handoff to Pittman, and he has nowhere to go. Fights forward to the 16, and that brings up 4th down.
And that's a great job defensively by New Orleans. They gave up some yards. They allowed Denver to get down in here inside the red zone, but to be able to stop them when it mattered and then force them to attempt a field goal, that's a nice job on their part.
Roman Harper stepping up and making a good play, the starting strong safety, and now Prater, second-year player, will attempt from 34 yards to make it an 8-point game, and he drills it. The Broncos were willing to let Jason Elam, Denver's all-time leading scorer, leave. He's now in Atlanta. They've handed that responsibility to Matt Prater, and he has been good twice today. And it's an 8-point game. I'd like to get to know more about number 25 for the Saints, Reggie Bush.
Growing up, my dream car was a 1967 Shelby Mustang GT. It's a beautiful car. It's American muscle. It's fast. I'm a California guy. Growing up in San Diego, California. Big on Mexican food and the taco shops. We should always get, 5-roll tacos, guacamole, cheese, sour cream, $3.99.
$3.99, the sour cream, the cheese, all that, and he can absolutely fly. Were you a car guy at all growing up? Did you get into cars? I mean, I know you're a car guy as an older guy trying to run a Ford dealership.
Yeah, no, not as a younger guy, and I had a little something in common there with Floyd Little as far as owning the Ford dealership. But I thought it was interesting, Joe, when we were talking with Sean Payton and Reggie Bush. He wants to be a great player. I mean, he's heavily scrutinized, and after last season he had a disappointing year, and he asked Sean Payton, what do I need to do? And Sean said, what you need to do is be seen here in New Orleans and go through our off-season program and let the guys get to know you. And he's done that. I mean, he has really made an effort to be there and be a great player for this organization.
This is a really good game here in Denver. An 8-point lead for the Broncos as Pierre Thomas returns it out to the 24-yard line. 18-yard return, and here comes Reggie Bush and Drew Brees, and Drew Brees has had a big day. Drew Brees with a back-to-back, Troy, 4,000-yard seasons. He set club records last year with 4,400 passing yards, 28 touchdowns, completion percentage of 67.5%. and threw an NFL record 440 completions last year in the offense designed by Sean Payton.
Yeah, probably his best season as a pro last year, and yet for whatever reason, when people name the top quarterbacks in the league, nobody ever seems to remember there's a guy in New Orleans that's pretty good.
They reverse it to Reggie Bush, and he runs into Boss Bailey. Speed meets speed, and just a 2-yard gain by the Saints. That was a slow to develop play for New Orleans. Well, I just remember being in Detroit and talking to Matt Millen and Rod Marinelli, and in particular about Boss Bailey. They were just raving about the guy with his speed, the way he plays the position, and then they let him walk away.
Yeah, and he's probably happy about that.
I would say.
There's a lot of people that get lost when they go to Detroit.
2nd and 8. Setting up a screen. They do so for Pierre Thomas. He's to the 30. Gained 4. And there's Boss Bailey again.
Well, I know they're real happy to have Boss Bailey back in the lineup here in Denver. You know, he gives them such great speed. I mean, they really feel that the strength of this defense is their linebackers, and it's not a very big linebacking core. You don't see, you know, guys typically this small, you know, playing the linebacker position. But if you have great speed, as Boss Bailey does, you know, then you can get away with it.
3rd down and 4. Bailey with 6 tackles today. Brees underneath. Pass is complete. Depends on the marking as Shockey hauled it in. Well, where will they put it down? He's right at the marker.
Yeah, he, you know, you just get to the sticks and then you turn around and hope you get into a position to make the 1st down. He was close on that one. I thought he could have pushed it just a little bit further so that it wouldn't have been a question whatsoever.
Artie Kempner, our director, gives you a shot as they change the 3rd down to 1st down by half the length of the football. Shockey had it. Another conversion on 3rd down for New Orleans.
And I'll tell you what, Zach Streif's doing a heck of a job on Elvis Dumervil right here.
He was in a battle that time, and the pass incomplete for Henderson. That time he was working on Jarvis Moss.
Yeah, this time it was Jarvis Moss who was inactive the first 2 games because they were playing teams that ran the ball more. Today, a passing team, they bring him in. But Zach Streif, the point being, for him to come in off the bench and do the job that he's doing has been pretty impressive. That's not easy to do when you haven't been getting a lot of the reps in practice. For the most part, he has been going up against Elvis Dumervil and holding up pretty well.
Playing in place of the injured Jamal Brown, who left early. Handoff on 2nd and 10 to Reggie Bush. Picks up 2. And that'll do it for the first 3 quarters here in Denver. Back and forth, back and forth. 8-point game. The NFL on Fox will continue after this from your local Fox station. Well, rare is it when we predict correctly, but this is definitely a shootout. Through 3 quarters, 60 points, 685 yards of offense. 3rd down and 8 for the Saints. Down by 8. Penalty flag on the play as the pass is caught by Moore. Reached high, grabbed it at the Denver 49. We'll check the marker, and the Saints are saying it's against the Broncos. But that's Shockey, so don't believe it yet.
Offside. Defense 94 in the neutral zone. Penalties decline. The play results in a 1st down.
He always says it's against the other side.
Denver comes with a 5-man rush. They run a twist there with Dumervil, so he's able to get the pressure in the middle. Drew Brees hangs in there. That leaves him a little bit vulnerable on the backside. And a great catch there by Lance Moore. And a guy who probably had not been expected to play a whole lot this early in the season has had to because of injury. Has played well today.
On 1st down from the Denver 49. The pass a little behind Reggie Bush. Makes the catch. Good for 3. DJ Williams out there to make the stop for Denver.
And it's another 3rd down completion on that previous play. And going back to what Mike Shanahan talked about in being able to stop New Orleans on 3rd down. They've converted 2 of 3 here in this 2nd half. And you know, when you get into games like this, that's really the down that becomes so critical. If you convert, you keep going. If you don't, you got to punt. And the Saints have done a good job today converting on 3rd down.
2nd and 7. Toss to Reggie Bush with blocking out in front of him. Picks his way for a 1st down.
You know, some of those plays, Joe, that we saw earlier in the game, those stretch plays that they tried just like that, you know, Bush was not able to get out on the edge. But by doing that early in the game, you start to fatigue this defense. You start to fatigue the linebackers, the defensive front, because they then have to pursue sideline to sideline. And now some of those same plays are starting to get some production.
1st down at the Denver 39. So this Bronco defense now being tested. Start of the day ranked 27th in the NFL. Brees completes. That's Shockey. Shockey inside the 35 to the 33, a 7-yard completion. And whatever this Denver defense will give Drew Brees, he'll take it. Whether deep, over the middle, underneath, out to the sidelines, he has moved it all over the playing field.
I just think of Mike Shanahan and last week and what that game was like up and down the field, and then to come off of that here today and witness the exact same thing. He's got to be saying defensively, let's just make a stop.
2nd down and 3, a blitz. Pass is complete to Bush, who was pushed out of bounds by Nate Webster. That effort by Webster saved a big gain as Bush could not keep his feet in bounds. Good for 4.
And it's a good job by Drew Brees as well, knowing that he's going to have pressure off of the play fake, and get your head around knowing you got to get the ball out. I mean, immediately he knows I've got pressure coming. I'm going to still make the fake, retreat a little bit, and get the ball off and complete it. Nice execution.
Good enough for a 1st down from the Denver 28. A toss to Reggie Bush running right. And you said it, I think 2 drives ago, this Denver defense, because of the amount of time they've been on the field, just because of the way the game has been played so far, has got to be, with this high altitude, really starting to suck wind.
No question, and you can see it. You can watch it from here, that these guys are getting tired, and there's nothing wrong with getting tired. I mean, I'm not suggesting that these guys aren't in great shape. They're well-conditioned athletes, but when you're on the field, as long as what they've been on the field, you naturally get tired. But as a defense, the great thing about it is all you got to do to get off the field is make a stop.
2nd and 4. Brees completes to Carney, the fullback, and a good tackle is made by DJ Williams. That brings Carney down a yard short of a 1st down.
Yeah, and on this drive, what we've seen is really a lot of the underneath throws by Drew Brees, a lot of high percentage stuff. They're going to a no-huddle offense right now.
Handoff is to Reggie Bush, and he picks up the 1st down.
Yeah, I think they wanted to go to a no-huddle there and get the play run, because the personnel grouping that they saw on the field they liked, and they felt that they could run something without getting another big body on 3rd and short. As you see right now, Kenny Peterson coming out onto the field. I think they wanted to get that ball snapped without any substitutions. They like the matchups interior-wise.
We could be headed toward another 2-point conversion down in this end of the field. It's an 8-point game, still plenty of time left, but it's definitely an option if the Saints get it into the end zone. That's to the 10-yard line. A completion to Lance Moore, good for 6 yards. You think back to the end of the 1st half. Sean Payton decided to go for it on 4th down. They didn't make it into the end zone, but then immediately thereafter got the safety. So they basically traded 3 points for 2 points, and that really is the difference from a touchdown and an extra point tying the game.
That's a great point, and if they lose by 1, then obviously people are going to be looking at that call.
2nd and 4. Handoff to Pierre Thomas, trying to get to the edge on the left side. Is he in? There is no signal. Touchdown, New Orleans. A late call and a touchdown, and now here is the 2-point difference. 34-32 with 10 to play. Drew Brees wants to go for 2, and he keeps the offense out on the field.
And Sean Payton wants to go for 2 as well, and Pierre Thomas, really a good find for them. I mean, you talk about a lot of free agent running backs in this game. 2 there for Denver with Selvin Young and Andre Hall, and then you've got Pierre Thomas, who was a great find from Illinois in his 2nd season and making a lot of contributions this year.
Denver had success down here at the end of regulation with 24 seconds left in regulation against San Diego last week. Now the Saints trying to tie it. A floater that is batted away, and Denver maintains the 2-point lead. Reggie Bush, the intended receiver. Sean Payton has been aggressive today. Here's the touchdown. Pierre Thomas staying in. And then the 2-point try off the hand of Reggie Bush. Incomplete. 2-point Denver lead.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Nissan, who invites you to shift the way you move through the world, by Turbo HD by Dish Network, and by Budweiser American Ale. Discover the robust flavor of Budweiser American Ale.
Well, the Saints get the touchdown, cannot get the 2 points, and with 10 minutes left in regulation, it's 34-32. Denver still out in front. That was the first 2-point try of the season for the Saints. And New Orleans had only 2 10-play drives in their first 2 games total in 25 possessions. They have 4 of those type drives here today. Long, sustained marches down the field. Here's Andre Hall. On the return, wrestled down near the 23. That's where the Broncos will start with it, as they are hanging on, leading by 2. Well, now 9:54 left, and the defense gets a rest for Denver. This offense for New Orleans wants to stay out there. Remember, it was 21-3 Denver at one point. Now it's 34-32 Denver after the failed 2-point attempt by this Saints offense, which has been impressive here today. And Jay Cutler is ready to go back to work, starting at his own 23. They reverse it to Royal. Royal has the edge and gets out of bounds at the 30. And a penalty flag comes in at the end of the play, which could be for unnecessary roughness. If something extra happened at the end of that play over on the Saints bench. I don't think Sean Payton likes the call.
After the runner was out of bounds, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Well, that is a killer penalty as it marches the ball up to the 44-yard line.
Yeah, you know what? I've got to agree with the call. You got Eddie Royal, who's going out of bounds, and then all of a sudden you got Roman Harper, who's leaving his feet, diving at him when it's obvious that Royal was going out of bounds. I think that was the right call. I know Sean Payton's not happy with it. I know Saints fans aren't happy with it, but I think it was the right call.
Here is Royal on this side of the field, and he is brought down after a loss of 2 by Tracy Porter, the rookie out of Indiana. This is a New Orleans defense that ranked 30th against the pass in 2007, and they basically spent their first 5 draft picks on defense. Not only the guys that they ended up with, but the trades that they made to get Vilma to trade up and get Cedric Ellis. So they have tried to make this defense better. So far it has not paid off. They started the day ranked 29th, and they've given up a lot of yards. 2nd and 12. Cutler with plenty of time fires for Marshall, who shows his great hands. Penalty flag on the play as Marshall is tripped up by Porter. But a flag came in right at the spot of the catch, and it's against New Orleans.
Well, I'll tell you, there was a lot of contact at the top of that route, and it was hard to tell from here, Joe, whether it was initiated by Jason David.
That's interference. Defense number 42. Penalty decline. Play results in a first down.
Or Brandon Marshall. Take a look at it at the top, and you see that Marshall gets his hand out there as well. And then Jason David grabs him as he's starting to come out of the route. It was a physical confrontation at the top of the route, and I could have seen it go either way.
As it is, it goes against Jason David. The completion, however, is good to the 30. And here's a quick throw out to Scheffler, the tight end, who gets around 1 tackle and picks up 9 yards. Case Faharn there for New Orleans.
I talked about it earlier in the game, the job that Brandon Marshall does. So much of the attention about what he does as a receiver. He is a great blocker as well. I mean, look at the job that he does on Mike McKenzie there. That frees him up and allows them to get more yardage. And he did it last week as well. I mean, he's a very unselfish player, and it's easy to see that because selfish players typically don't help their teammates out, especially when you're a wide receiver in the blocking game.
2nd down and 1, and here's a rollout by Cutler underneath, incomplete. Pass intended for Daniel Graham. 3rd down and 1 coming up. A lot of over pursuit, Troy, by this defense, really on both sides. And when these quarterbacks roll out, kind of bootleg out, they've got a mile out in front of them.
Yeah, and I was going to say, Joe, that just looking at this situation right now in the game, obviously there's still a lot of time, just under 8 minutes, but because of the missed 2-point conversion, a big series here for both teams. Defensively for the New Orleans Saints, if you give up a touchdown and then with an extra point, it's a 9-point game. All of a sudden, you're talking about a 2-possession deal. So this is very, very important here for both clubs.
Looked like there was movement along the offensive line as Cutler was killing the play that was called.
Ball start. Offense number 22. 5-yard penalty. It remains 3rd down.
Hillis, the fullback. And that takes it from 3rd and 1 to 3rd and 6 and changes the dynamic of the play call by Jeremy Bates.
Boy, you ain't kidding. And he's right here, Peyton Hillis, the fullback, and just enough. And they catch that. But you're right, Joe. I mean, you're talking about 3rd and 1. You got that playbook sheet there's a lot of calls to make at 3rd and 1. When you get to 3rd and 6, it takes all those running plays basically out.
Cutler loves working out of the shotgun. And he completes. Good enough for a 1st down. That's Stokely. 4 good years with the Ravens, 4 better years with the Indianapolis Colts, and now in his 2nd season with the Denver Broncos.
And you're going to see Stokely here. All he does is push up. He's going to turn around once he gets past the 1st down line and show his numbers and catch the ball. And he's been doing that a long time. He did it with Indianapolis. And to me, those type of guys, whether it's him or Wes Welker and a guy like Dallas Clark in Indianapolis now, those are the guys that really move the chains.
Handoff is to Andre Hall, and he's spinning around for no gain.
I mean, so many times for an offense, you look at a Terrell Owens in Dallas, you look at a Brandon Marshall with the Denver Broncos, you look at a Randy Moss in New England, and those guys obviously are great players, but the supporting cast is really what allows those guys to continue to be great players. And someone like Brandon Stokely, who kind of gets lost sometimes because he's the 3rd receiver, boy, he can really create some matchup problems for a defense that oftentimes allow you to do some pretty special things.
And not only do you have Stokely here, but you've got the rookie wide receiver Royal and then the pass catching tight end Scheffler to go with Brandon Marshall. A lot of weapons for Cutler, who looks for one here and finds his tight end, Tony Scheffler. And that sets up 1st and goal at the 8.
Well, you just look at the respect that Roman Harper has for a guy like Tony Scheffler. I mean, we're talking about a tight end by position, but he's 9 yards off and then backpedaling the entire way. I mean, that's pretty easy stuff for Jay Cutler to complete that. And that just tells you the respect that Roman Harper has for Tony Scheffler.
1st and goal from the 8. Out of the shotgun again, passes out of the reach of Clifford Russell, who was just added to the active roster. This Denver team traded away Kerry Colbert. They add Clifford Russell, and here they are in a dogfight at the end of the game, and Cutler calls his number.
Yeah, and the ball was high, but what happens for a quarterback is you can't always see those underneath bodies, and it's a little scary for a quarterback when you can't really see what's out in front of you to try to put a ball down where it needs to be. Generally, you put it up high so that if there is anybody coming underneath that throw that you can't see, only your guy can make the play.
Similar type play on the other end of the field turned into an interception for Cutler last week. Fake handoff. The pass is dropped. Now they're calling it a catch and a fumble. It's a catch and fumble returned by David. Tony Scheffler got a hand on it. Did he control it before he lost it? Let's take another look. As it is right now, it's New Orleans ball. He has it. Did he secure it before that hit, before it popped out?
I tell you, Joe, when it happened live, I did not think it was a completed pass at all. I was shocked that they were ruling that it was a completed pass. But from there they say a football act. I think they got rid of that. Now they're saying 2 steps, and by that definition you would say then it was a completion.
We will have a challenge of that call. We'll take a break and come back.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Visa. Go on, live life. And remember that no matter what it takes, life takes Visa.
The challenge flag is thrown by Mike Shanahan. And so the Broncos will challenge the call, which was catch and fumble. Take another look.
Denver's challenged a ruling on the field on a completed pass and a fumble.
I think you could make the case that that ball's moving around against the chest of Tony Scheffler, and by the time he secures it, before that second foot is down, it's out. Could go either way. We'll get the call when we come back. Denver has challenged the call. It's a big call because this is a 2-point game. Denver was moving in well within field goal range, and then this. The bobble. We're told by Mike Pereira it has to do with an element of time with regard to how long did he have it before he lost it. Let's get the call.
After review, with the ball in his possession, the receiver takes 2 steps and begins to turn upfield when the ball is knocked loose. Therefore, it's a completed pass and a fumble. The ruling on the field stands. The ball is out of bounds at the 21-yard line. First down, New Orleans. Denver is charged with their 3rd and final team timeout.
How about that? Denver does not have any timeouts left, and now they have their defense on the field. You could see that call going either way. Not so sure that ball was secured, like you said, with 2 steps, but the call goes for the Saints.
Well, they tell us it's an element of time, as you said, Joe, and yet the explanation, I didn't hear one word about element of time. So I'm not really sure what exactly the league is looking at with regards to whether or not it is a catch or it is not a catch.
5.5 minutes to go. Brees throws, and this one incomplete, in and out of the gut of Jeremy Shockey. Nate Webster, the middle linebacker, was there for the Denver Broncos. And just to clear up what you said earlier, they've taken out of the rule book a quote-unquote football act, which was always part of the description as to what is and what isn't a catch. So it's become, at least in our mind, a little more ambiguous, and that call goes for New Orleans against Denver.
Well, it goes back to, I've always been against instant replay, even when, like last week, when you see something that's wrong and it can't be corrected.
2nd down and 10. The pass underneath. It's caught. That's Shockey. He's been a frequent target for Drew Brees. That's a 7-yard completion. 3rd down coming up. DJ Williams, a weak side linebacker, there to make the catch, and Shockey's had a big day now. 8 catches, 74 yards.
And here we are once again on a critical 3rd down for this Denver defense. So far here in this second half, they have not been good overall. They've been equally as bad here in the second half.
3rd down and 3. Brees steps up and completes. Big catch and run by Henderson. He's into Denver territory to the Broncos 48. Drew Brees just got it away.
He just got it away, and Boss Bailey, their linebacker, he's down at the end of the play. They were in man coverage. You see the big hit there on Drew Brees. They're in man coverage, and because of the crossing action there is what creates the pick that keeps Carl Pema from being able to keep up. It's a good execution, and you know, we heard Sean Payton talk about it earlier, saying we're getting a lot more zone coverage than what we expected. We expected a lot of man coverage. Well, he was anticipating man coverage on that last play on 3rd down. He got it, and that's why they were able to run a great play call to pick that up.
So while they check on Bailey, we will step aside and go for a game break. Here's Kurt.
Jacksonville and Indy. Indy scored with just over a minute left to take the lead, but Jacksonville's Josh Scobie with a 51-yard kick with 4 seconds left proved to be the game winner. The Jaguars hand the Colts a loss, 23-21. Indy now 0-2 at their brand new stadium. Joe, Troy, and Pam.
Yeah, they lost the opener at home to Chicago. They came back to win last week in Minnesota. Now they lose today, and those are 2 of the better teams in the AFC that have started 1-2. Meanwhile, that's the start that the Saints are trying to avoid. A 1-1 record. Broncos 2-0. First down, New Orleans at the Denver 48. Just over 4 to play. Brees with all day. And the pass is caught by Lance Moore. He pops up and runs to the end zone, but now late whistles. He was ruled down as he was touched on the shoulder. But it's a completion, and it takes New Orleans into field goal range. That one good for 15 yards.
I got to tell you, Lance Moore has had himself one heck of a day here today. I mean, he has found the holes when they've run the zone coverages. He's done a good job. I mean, a lot of these catches, this one being one of them, you know, was not an easy catch or a ball that was right on him.
And he was touched right there.
You know, if you're New Orleans right now, you'd like to try to run the ball a little bit, take some time off the clock, not give Denver the ball back.
Handoff is to Reggie Bush. And a nice carry on first down as he gets 7.
And with Denver not having any timeouts, they're afforded that ability to do that.
And now Marlon McCree is down. Marlon McCree was a free agent addition, the starter at free safety, and now he's injured. And this Denver defense has been run through since the first quarter. Don't forget, next week on Fox Saturday Baseball, on the air at 3:30 Eastern, there are 5 games listed. There will be 4 games on the air depending on who needs what on that final Saturday of the regular season. Red Sox certainly in a good position in the wild card, if not the AL East. The Brewers right there in the wild card, a half game behind the Mets. Nationals and Phillies, the Indians and White Sox, and the White Sox are in a battle with the Twins for the AL Central. And Marlon McCree is still being looked at down on the field. It stops the clock with 3 minutes 20 seconds left. Here's the injury to McCree, and the bigger picture, Troy, as you look at a nasty hit against the helmet of McCree. He's able to sit up, so that's great news. But you think about where this game has come from, 21-3 on the road. You don't have Marcus Colston. This could be one of the better in-game rebounds that we've seen by a team in a long time.
I don't think there's any question, Joe, and it shows a lot of resolve here by Sean Payton and his club, you know, to come in and get down, not have some key guys like you said, and keep playing. And really, I think in addition to Sean Payton, the guy who deserves the credit for that is Drew Brees. I mean, in talking with him, he was confident coming in. You know that he was able to convey that confidence to his team all week. I mean, he's a gutty little player, and he is one heck of a quarterback.
The Saints really have no reason to hurry to the line. There's still 17 seconds left on the play clock. The game clock is winding, and Reggie Bush is brought down a yard short of a first down.
Yeah, they're short of the first down, and so now this is a big third down for New Orleans. I mean, if they don't pick this up, then they're going to be giving the ball back to Denver with plenty of time. If they do pick it up, then they'll be able to run this thing really all the way down to nothing before they even have to attempt a field goal.
McCree comes back into the lineup. Saints have 501 yards of offense in this game against the Denver defense. Pierre Thomas gets it, and he's brought down behind the line of scrimmage. DJ Williams. Last week, Thomas had a shot at a first down against the Redskins, and they couldn't convert. And now it's Williams making the play.
They typically leave the backside guy unblocked, and why, I don't know, because time after time, whenever there's a guy who is stopped in the backfield on a 3rd and short, it's that backside guy who they don't block that makes the play.
2 minutes left. DJ Williams, 16 tackles in this game for Denver.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by the new AT&T. Your world delivered.
The Saints have never led. Looking for their first lead, a 43-yard try. 2 minutes left. Good snap, good hold. Gramatica misses it. Snap was decent. The hold was good. And the kick was pushed wide right. And for a team, Troy, that at one point trailed by 18 points on the road, they were that close to taking a lead with 2 minutes left.
Yeah, and I think what people are going to focus on after this game is they're going to talk about the missed field goal there by Gramatica. I think you've got to go back a few steps, one, and say they failed to pick up a 3rd and 1. And then as we talked about a little bit earlier, Joe, they had a couple opportunities there in the first half, went for it on 4th down, and failed to make it there. If they make either one of those plays, they probably win this game.
Here is a handoff out to the 35, carried by Selvin Young. And now remember that the Saints only have 1 timeout left, and they'll use it here with 1:50 left. So there's the life of an NFL kicker, as Gramatica has missed twice today. Once from 51 yards and the latest from 43 yards. Let's go for a game break. Here's Kurt.
Well, a tough day physically for some NFL stars in Philly. Brian Westbrook of the Eagles leaves the game with an injured ankle in the second, has not returned. And then Pittsburgh's Ben Roethlisberger has been sacked 8 times, has left the game with a with an injury to his throwing wrist. Right now, Byron Leftwich in, trying to lead Pittsburgh back, but they're down 15-6 with under 1.5 minutes to go. Joe?
All right, Kurt, it's 2nd and 8 here for Denver. More frustration for the Saints and for Sean Payton, who brought his team in on Monday saying we need to learn how to finish. They had a chance here today.
Yeah, and let's go back to last week. They had 3rd and 1 against Washington that would have given them a chance to win. They didn't make that one.
And I know what will be in the papers in New Orleans as Selvin Young carries it across the 40. The question will be, what about Deuce McAllister? If he's active, he hasn't been in the ball game at all. They keep handing it to Pierre Thomas. Here's that missed 2-point for 32, and then Pierre Thomas, just like a week ago against the Washington Redskins, is brought down short of a big first down. And the 43-yard try by Gramatica is pushed wide to the right. Third down and 2 here for the Broncos. A first down ices this game. Here's Pittman, and they won't get the first down. Back to the 35-yard line. They're going to give him forward progress out to the 37. And with under a minute to go, it's 4th down, and New Orleans will get the ball back.
Well, there's just about 20 seconds difference between the play clock and the game clock, and so they can run this thing down pretty good. They can run it all the way down and then punt it. And so New Orleans is probably going to get the ball back with about 15 seconds left on the clock, if just under that.
Beyond that, I'd be shocked if they allow Reggie Bush to do anything on this return. The rookie Brett Kern will punt it. And he hits a booming punt. But Bush will have a chance to try and pick his way through this punt cover team. He cannot. To the 20, and that is it. And now with only 8 seconds remaining after that return, the Saints offense, which came oh so close, is back to the field down by 2.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing you can hope to do is, either try to throw one down the field right now and get into the end zone, or try to hit something on the boundary about 10 yards, 15 yards, get them out of bounds so that you can maybe have a legitimate shot at throwing a Hail Mary into the end zone. Not a lot in the playbook for this situation.
Ball's at the 20. Defense playing a prevent for Denver. And this one is to the boundary, and a hit on Devery Henderson. Over there to make the hit was Marquand Manuel, and that might have been a little too much. No flag is thrown.
I'm a little surprised by that. I mean, that ball clearly over his head. Oh, well, it wasn't nearly as much contact as what it initially looked like. It looked like he tried to hold up and was able to. But now, with 2 seconds, I mean, all you can do, and Sean Payton has a play that they run, that he ran when he was with the New York Giants. They didn't score with it, but it'll be something over the middle of the field, a toss back, and just see if they can lateral it around and get somebody into the end zone.
Simpsons coming up next on Fox. Here is Reggie Bush, and let the laterals begin. Nope, that's it. That didn't last long. Lance Moore ends up with the football. Peterson and Moss combined for that last stop. We will come back and wrap up a wild day here in Denver on the other side of the break. Broncos are 3-0. They win it by 2.